Let's dive into a world where students undergo beast gene awakening, a brutal process of injecting raw monster DNA. Trust me, the stronger your body, the more insane your beast becomes. The second the serum is injected, the room explodes with agony. Every single student collapses, screaming through the brutal evolution. Every single one except for our main character. Meet Yihei. He is just sitting there, totally chill, like nothing is happening. The instructor immediately counts him out, thinking his body rejected the drug. But then, boom, a massive shockwave of pure energy erupts from his body, sending the other kids flying across the room. Yehei has successfully awakened, and whatever is locked inside him is absolutely terrifying. Later, the students line up for a gene scan to identify exactly what kind of beast they got. When Yehei steps up, everyone expects a massive high-tier monster, but the scanner shows a flat 0. The room bursts into laughter, assuming his beast is so pathetic it cannot even be detected. But here is what they do not know. Yehei has secretly unlocked something completely broken, the legendary ability to awaken multiple different beast forms at the exact same time. His system labels him as the potential king of monsters. Desperate to grow stronger in secret, he immediately requests a leave of absence to train in private at home. The teacher has zero faith in him and tells him to just prepare to repeat the school year. But Yehei insists, promising he has awakened an incredible bloodline and will work his hardest. Seeing his absolute resolve, the teacher finally gives in. With his leave approved, Yehei immediately starts planning his monster's ultimate evolution. He sold his house after his parents passed away, giving him a small fortune, and his beast, Demora, has plenty of skill points ready to use. He figures these extra points came from that awakening serum. So, instead of wasting time on endless, exhausting training, he decides to dump all his cash into buying more of that same powerful serum. When he rolls up to the warrior's center, he is blown away by the massive crowd of awakened fighters. Luckily, one of Demora's passive skills lets him sense beast energy, allowing him to feel every single monster aura in the building. Suddenly, raw fury starts boiling inside him. But pay attention, a hand taps his shoulder, snapping him back. It is a stunning girl, and Yehei tells her he wants to buy serum. She thinks he's crazy since he is clearly a complete newbie and warns him about the deadly side effects. Yehei nearly passes out when she drops the price 400,000 for just a beginner vial. Even after hearing that, he still asks if there is any way to get a discount. Surprisingly, she just smiles and hands him her private contact info. Yehei spends every penny buying a massive load of serum and uses it right away. Now feeling strong enough, he decides to head into a secret realm, mysterious dimensions packed with monsters, ranked from E to S. He picks an E-rank zone that has already been cleared out by other hunters. Standing before the portal, he knows this is the first real step of his journey. But the second he steps through the rift, a rabid, fanged rabbit leaps out to tear his throat out. He crushes the beast effortlessly and realizes its pelt is worth about 1,000 won. Wanting a real challenge, Yehei heads deeper to find rank 2 monsters. Before long, a massive armored worm slides right into his path, the perfect target to test his upgraded power. He launches his skills, dodging the monster's flying fangs, but gets incredibly pissed off when the acid tears his expensive new jacket. That is when he realizes his physical body is still too untrained to handle his full power. To make up for it, he decides to cheat a little, activating the demonic emperor bloodline through Demora. With his raw strength amplified, he charges the worm without holding back and completely obliterates it. But the victory is bitter. The worm's poison melted his sword, and he is absolutely starving after burning so much energy. Just then, an incredibly sweet aroma fills the air, leading him to a glowing green magic core. He just eats the core. Crazy, right? Instantly, his link to Demora spikes, and he realizes these raw cores are way better for leveling up than those overpriced potions. Regretting every single dollar he wasted, Yehei decides to spend the rest of the night hunting down every monster in sight. The next morning, he leaves the rift with massive compatibility buffs and a pile of cores. The receptionist is completely stunned to see a rookie bring back such a huge haul. Later, a high-level party is getting ready to raid a D-rank rift, but one of their members gets injured. Seizing the opportunity for some quick cash, Yehei uses a fake identity named Pla to sneak onto the team. The party leader reluctantly lets him join but tells him to stay back and watch, warning that the best way he can help is by not getting in the way. With that settled, the squad moves out to find the rare bloody jade flower, hidden in an oasis guarded by rank 2 beasts. Suddenly, a swarm of demon rats ambushes them. An adventurer named Hood quickly shreds them to pieces with his dual daggers, which genuinely impresses Yehei. They continue on foot, knowing engine noise would alert the oasis monsters. The leader hands out specific roles to the team, reminding Yehei once again to keep his mouth shut and stay out of trouble. They kick off the plan by tossing a grenade to bait out the first sand dragon. But the blast does not just pull the monster out, it also attracts a massive, menacing bald guy. Captain Lin takes down the dragon, but a stray claw suddenly lunges straight for him. Without blinking, Yihai steps in and vaporizes the threat, earning the party's respect in an instant. After the dust settles, they extract the dragon's soul essence, which looks exactly like a mango pit. But right as the captain celebrates their prize, Hood drives a dagger straight into his back. The team screams in absolute horror as Hood smiles, stepping over to join a notorious gangster named Ho Ping, who is famous for slaughtering hunters and stealing their hard-earned loot. Bleeding out, Lin asks how Ho Ping could possibly know their target, since he had only revealed the flower's location inside the rift. Yehei steps forward, explaining that Hood left behind tracking coordinates when he threw his daggers at those desert rats. The traitor tries to silence him with a dagger throw, but Yehei catches it out of the air like it is nothing. The bald boss orders Hood to take the kid out, but Yehei effortlessly bats away his flurry of strikes. The traitor attempts a sneak attack, but it backfires completely, giving Yehei the perfect opening to blast him with a new skill. The sheer force of the impact makes Captain Lin question if this kid is actually a newbie. Furious, Ho Ping demands to know which elite family Yehei belongs to. The young man calmly claims the Demon Clan, prompting the gangster to unleash his terrifying bear monster form. Ho Ping swells to dozens of times his original size, crushing everything as he leaps, but Yehei does not even flinch, targeting the giant's legs instead. The giant bear swings wildly, but Yehei's godlike speed lets him dodge easily, unleashing a meteor shower that completely vaporizes the beast. The gangster collapses instantly, deflated like a popped balloon. Before losing consciousness, Ho Ping screams a bloody curse at Yehei's monster. But looking at the kid's bored expression, it is obvious this is not the first or the last curse he will brush off. Finally, the day of the university entrance exam arrives, featuring high-stakes duels. The stadium announcer hypes up the crowd, and the first matches kick off with explosive action. But in Arena 6, our guy is a no-show. His opponent, the class princess, is absolutely furious. And that's where we leave it, trust me. You won't want to miss what comes next. Alright, you and I are about to dive into one crazy tournament. The judge was ready to call a default win when a massive comet-like aura shook the arena. Yehei made his epic entrance right in the center. His opponent did not even have time to blink before taking a brutal kick straight to the face, knocking him out cold. The fight ended so fast that Yehei was just annoyed it was already over. But the stadium went absolutely wild for that crazy knockout. Behind the scenes, the young warrior felt his strength surging from the jade blood flower, Captain Lin's special gift of appreciation. The matches rolled on, and Yehei cruised through fight after fight with zero effort, driving the crowd insane with hype. Naturally, this mind-blowing talent caught the eyes of elite university recruiters instantly. With massive arrogance, our guy declared he was only attending the capital's university, immediately scaring off those top scouts. Still, he was totally confident he would dominate the tournament. Suddenly, suited men approached to test his martial level. The examiner was baffled by Yehei's growth, jumping from level 3 to 9 in zero time. Our hero explained that 3 months of incredibly brutal, non-stop training had allowed him to completely shatter his genetic lock. The official stood there, completely paralyzed by the shock, and hurried off to report. Watching them flee, he realized he might have shared a bit too much. While other competitors received endless support texts from loving parents, he had absolutely no one, feeling deeply isolated. But miles away, his master was screaming at the television with pure pride. In the qualifiers, Yeho faced Luan, a level 8 beast blood warrior feared by everyone as a terrifying opponent. Luo charged ahead with razor-sharp claws, but Yehei casually blocked the strike with his bare hand. He even noted that this blow was nothing compared to Huang's desert attacks. Showing no mercy, he crushed Lu Xuan's hand and slammed him deep into the arena floor. Now, pay attention here, because Yehei knew nobody could touch him. The hyped crowd roared as they carried his broken opponent right out of the ring. Meanwhile, over at the capital's top academy, scouts were already pulling up his full file. In another ring, a brutal clash erupted between Kaioling, the deadly number 2 of Anning School, and Liu Qinggu, their untouched number 1. The blonde competitor charged in ruthlessly, but the brunette easily blocked the attack with defensive magic. She suddenly snatched Xiaoling's hand, delivering a heavy counterpunch that drove the announcer crazy. Pushed to her limit, the school's number 2 unleashed her fierce tiger form, charging forward to hunt her prey. Qing Shu did not even flinch, calling upon another of her family's secret techniques, but the tigress countered with a special kick. Their energies collided, producing a massive hurricane of light. When the smoke cleared, Kaioling emerged from the mist, only to suddenly collapse. Qingju remained standing as the clear victor of the match. Shortly after, the draw for the quarterfinals took place. Yu pulled a ball with the letter A, discovering his opponent would be a massive tank named Shen Jaguan. Despite his massive build, he seemed totally relaxed, even inviting Yi-Hee to spectate the next match. Together, they watched Chu-Jo from Yi-Hee's own academy secure a victory, leaving the rival school's principal completely devastated. Yi asked the giant if he could beat the student who just lost since they shared a school. Shen Jugan modestly remarked that as class president, he could easily crush that fighter and 3 others at the exact same time. I know what you're thinking, but the giant knew Yi-Hee was a sleeping volcano. And yes, it's finally time for them to clash. The fight started out on equal terms, but after a sudden nosebleed, Shen summoned a glowing nuclear radiation shield, catching Yi-Hee completely off guard with its power. The massive fighter then invoked an ancestral power blending a snake and a deer. Yi-Hee was briefly stunned by the weird combination, leaving him wide open to take his first hit of the entire tournament. Shen pressed his advantage, unleashing a heavy bear spirit strike. Blocking the blow, Yi-Hee realized this match was 100 times tougher than he expected, especially when caught in a brutal, bone-crushing choke. Still, the giant was just playing with him, tossing our hero around and stalking him like a cat hunting its helpless prey, finishing with a lethal move called the Eagle's Dive that left Yi-Hee completely defenseless. Medics prepared to step in, but suddenly, an absurdly terrifying aura of power erupted right behind Shen. For the first time, Yi-Hee tapped into his beastly demonic form, completely terrifying the big guy who knew this specific skill was a mandatory requirement for the capital's elite academy. The director watched in sheer disbelief at the immense nuclear radiation pouring from our hero's beast form. However, this wild power surge deeply worried the examiners since the arena's energy barriers were reaching their limits. Oblivious to any danger, the crowd wildly celebrated Yi-Hee's raw strength. Wiping blood from his nose, Shen focused and prepared a complex combination attack using multiple animal spirits. Yi-Hee waited for the massive target to close the distance and counterattacked with brutal force, nearly tearing off his giant arm. Driven by the pure rage of his beastly form, it was time to strike back. Yi-Hee lunged with his razor-sharp claws but got caught by Shen's tight block. Slipping onto his back, the giant nearly crushed him once more. The protagonist focused all his energy, but right before clashing, he was stunned by Shen's sudden surrender. This unexpected forfeit left Yi-Hee extremely frustrated since he couldn't show his full strength, forcing him back to human form. The crowd went wild, celebrating another victory, showing zero mercy to Shen as they quickly turned his instant surrender into hilarious online memes. As our hero's performance dominated social media, the rival academy's director was absolutely furious. But the giant brute approached his boss and casually warned him to shut up, threatening to grind him into meat. Faced with that terrifying threat, the old man shut his mouth immediately. With that, the semifinals were set, featuring 3 Anqing students, making their academy's principal incredibly proud. For the very first matchup, Yi-Hee was drawn to fight the powerful Liu Qingju. The stadium buzzed with hype, since both competitors possessed legendary beast-like auras. With the battlefield prepped, they faced the referee who immediately started the duel. As his opening move, Yi-Hee released a gas so incredibly foul the poor girl almost fainted from the smell. The dense smoke lingered around our hero, refusing to clear. Even so, Liu Qinggu braced herself for battle, while the audience complained about the fog and the host tried to entertain them. In reality, Yi-Hee did this to buy time and strategize, knowing Liu was stronger and any single mistake meant instant defeat. Ready to take a risk, he decided to strike first. She tried to block the sudden strike but got caught off guard by his lightning-fast change in direction, forcing her to dodge backwards. But Yi-Hee was totally relentless, driving her back as the inner demon grew more violent. Liu was stunned by his endless barrage of heavy strikes, showing absolutely zero signs of fatigue. Faced with this pressure, she unleashed her family's bloodline technique, spawning massive wings to reveal her mythical beast, the Netherbird. She warned Yi-Hee that she wouldn't be held responsible for its devastating force. That warning actually thrilled our boy, meaning he could also go all out with his beast. This time, Liu tried to catch Yi-Hee off guard, but he executed a flawless counterattack. Their heavy strikes collided, sending shockwaves through the arena. As the fog finally cleared, it revealed a completely frozen, petrified Liu Qinggu. And that's where we leave things with Yi's triple power unleashing a devastating atomic energy beam straight from his mouth. Trust me, you and I absolutely cannot miss what happens next. Alright, you and I are jumping right into a battle that is completely out of control. This massive attack sweeps forward, forcing Liu Qinggu to block with her feather shield. But the shockwave is absolute chaos, sending stray energy beams flying straight into the crowd. Thankfully, Mayor Hangxing steps in and deflects the stray blasts. He immediately takes the mic, hyping up the crowd by declaring that they are about to witness the birth of the strongest champion this city has ever seen. Back in the ring, Lu Qingxiu is completely stunned. She cannot believe her ultimate defense was just shattered. Just as she is about to give up, she gets a vision of her ancestors. Her mother, dressed in black, literally tells her to throw on a crop top and get back in the fight. But Yi He is a monster. Desperate, she bets everything on one final, massive strike. Yi He does not even flinch. He locks eyes with a terrifying, demonic glare, unleashes his own heavy blow, and tells her to stop holding back and fight him for real. Frustrated and humiliated, she covers her face. She has never taken a beating like this in her entire life. Now, Liu Qinggu is unleashing pure, unadulterated rage. Yi He is loving this. Seeing her finally awaken, he decides it is time to unleash his own inner beast to settle this clash. Both fighters charge. To show she is not playing, she conjures a massive tornado and unleashes a devastating scream she calls atomic breath. But Yi He tanks the blast, charging massive energy straight into the spikes on his back. They clash with their ultimate moves, leaving the judges terrified of the incoming explosion. Once again, the shady mayor jumps into action, throwing up heavy barrier walls to absorb the devastating shockwave. Now, watch closely here, the barrier actually cracks. The crowd panics, realizing they would have been vaporized without that shield. Even the mayor quietly admits he never expected such insanely strong candidates this year. Once the dust clears, Liu Qinggu is completely exhausted. Meanwhile, Yi stands there without a single scratch, as she admits she does not want to fight him anymore. Yi crouches down, calling her bluff. He knows she is hesitant, but deep down, she wants nothing more than to take him down. Yi places a hand on her shoulder, releasing a massive wave of energy that absorbs all the dangerous radiation from her body. He admits she is the toughest opponent he has ever faced, hoping she will bring even more heat next time they meet. Just like that, our main character secures his spot in the finals. The ultimate showdown will be between Yi He and Chuzhou, two classmates from the exact same school. As the match begins, Chuzhou draws a glowing energy sword. Yi just smiles, casually daring him to make a move. Chuzhou rushes in, but our main character does not even bother to block. Instead, he unleashes a devastating atomic punch, instantly obliterating Chuzhou's illusions. Realizing he is outmatched, Chuzhou switches tactics, using an ice technique to try and drain Yi He's stamina. A massive glacier sweeps across the ring, completely freezing our protagonist. But the ice immediately starts to melt, and Chuzhou is absolutely fuming at how easily Yi He breaks free. Left with no choice, he prepares his most dangerous technique. The massive clash only leaves a tiny scratch on Yi He's hand, while Chuzhou's sword is completely shattered into pieces. Seeing the writing on the wall, Chuzhou immediately forfeits the match. The crowd erupts, chanting the champion's name. Yi's face is plastered all over the city, cementing him as the most overpowered winner in entrance exam history. On stage, the announcer crowns our hero. Yi makes sure to publicly thank his teacher for believing in him, which completely tears up the old man watching the broadcast from home. Up in the stands, the principal is desperately begging for a shout-out too. To secure his $10 million scholarship, Yi gives the school some much-needed free publicity. Finally, he grabs the mic to thank himself, declaring that self-love is everything. Right on cue, his system chimes in, granting him an epic reward for officially achieving his goal of becoming the #1 fighter. You and I both know how annoying fame can be, right? Post-match, Yi is desperately dodging paparazzi who are already inventing dating rumors with his classmates. He finally sneaks into an empty gym to quietly check out his new OP abilities. But his piece is cut short when a mysterious, detective-looking guy appears to congratulate him. This stranger is from Huadu College, and he wants to discuss a major issue with Yi-He's genetic traits. Yi-He is highly intrigued, even though he is positive his powers actually come from Demora. The recruiter asks what Yi-He knows about his father's bloodline, pulling a top-secret file from his briefcase that completely shatters his image of his dad being just a simple taxi driver. Yi-He learns about Project Prometheus, a classified genetic experiment. After a massive disaster, all the scientists involved had to vanish and take on fake identities. He connects the dots, realizing his father was one of those scientists, and that he might just be a lab experiment. The recruiter reassures him that everything is fine, explaining that even if Yi-He is not worried, the college wants to keep him safe. Once the guy leaves, Yi-He gets right back to mapping out his bright future. He boots up his system to unlock his new skill model, but is shocked to see a massive vortex open up. Out steps a creepy D-rank monster called the Giant Humanoid. Yi gets a wild idea, merge his summons to create the ultimate Beast King. Meanwhile, across town, a dangerous-looking man is on his phone, demanding that all his appointments be cancelled immediately. His only goal is finding his brother, who vanished inside a rift, carrying intense guilt for failing his promise to their mother. But his search takes a wild turn when he spots Yi on TV and becomes highly interested in the young prodigy. Cut back to Yi, who receives an actual physical letter from Chujo, inviting him to raid a C-rank rift found by Hoadu. Our hero is just annoyed, wondering why he couldn't have just sent a text. At Red Tree Mountain, groups of hunters are already watching a rift materialize. Yi meets up with Chujo, who instantly senses that Yi has gotten way stronger, completely unaware of his massive system power-up. Yi realizes they are attending the same college, thinking Chujo is a pretty weird guy. Their chat is cut short as the rift tears open, and a terrifying beast steps out to welcome them. An excited hunter rallies the crowd to charge. The monster gets so spooked it tries to run, but is instantly slain. Entering the rift, Yi immediately smells a thick scent of blood. Suddenly, hordes of different monsters ambush them, and the hunters dive headfirst into battle, unleashing all the deadly skills they learned at school. As Chujo swings his sword, Yi covers his back from a sneak attack. Chujo is left deeply impressed, watching Yi effortlessly tear through waves of monsters. Soon, the notification chimes the boss monster has been defeated. While Chujo is busy counting their casualties, Yi walks up carrying an absurd pile of monster cores, asking for a hand. Chujo happily lends him a subspace ring to store the loot. Just then, a group of hunters approaches, including a giant, burly warrior who helped them in the raid. The massive hunter, highly interested in Yi, introduces himself as Wuan. He offers him an elite S-rank contract with the famous Silver Wolf Guild, making everyone else green with envy. Suddenly, a gorgeous woman riding a tiger from the Chumda Guild matches the offer, promising him 15% of their massive monthly loot. The surrounding crowd is completely shocked by these insane offers, but Yi casually turns them both down, explaining that he is a solo player. The guild leaders respect his choice, hoping to recruit him later. Later, Chujo and Yi hike up to a high peak. Standing in the wind, they spot massive giants gathering what look like roses, even though the area is completely barren. Yi wants to fight them, but Chujo hopes they never meet. And trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens next. Alright, you and I are jumping right in as Yi senses life nearby, pointing them toward a lake to investigate. There, he recognizes Yuli hunting with her squad, who reveals two of her teammates are diving. Moments later, a diver pops up yelling that he found a relic. While Yi wonders what the big deal is, Chujo explains this lake hides ancient ruins packed with highly valuable treasures. But the greedy diver spots the newcomers and instantly decides to eliminate the witnesses. Thankfully, Yuli steps in, explaining that Yi and Chujo are actually allies. Still, the diver, Yu Yang, hates the idea of splitting the treasure. To settle this, Yi suggests they get paid based strictly on how much they actually do. Once the deal is made, they dive down into the flooded ruins. But underwater, Yu Yang gets suspicious when his partner is nowhere to be found at their meeting spot. He radios him, but gets nothing but static, making everyone freeze up. Even so, Yu Yang refuses to leave the relics behind, so they decide to push deeper into the cave anyway. Spotting bizarre footprints, Chujo gets a terrible feeling. He warns them about a potential trap and suggests turning back, but Yi is way too curious to stop now. Pushing forward, they enter a chamber filled with dead monster cores wrapped in creepy vines. Suddenly, they spot the missing diver, Liwi, trapped and being eaten alive by the plants. Yuli freezes in terror, while Yu Yang panics seeing the relics are gone. Suddenly, Yu Yang starts mutating as horrific roots begin bursting straight out of his skull. Then, a flash of light cuts the darkness. Yi instantly destroys the monster controlling Yu Yang. He is actually impressed by the plant's cunning, using its prey as bait to drag even more victims down here. To make things worse, their only escape route is completely blocked. But while Julie panics, Yi gets pumped up to destroy this enemy. Now pay attention here, because an elite warrior suddenly emerges from the rocks, ready to kill them. Honestly though, Yi is totally used to being hunted by now. This elite assassin explains he tracked Yi's signature radiation straight from the Red Tree Mountain realm. He admits to blocking their exit, revealing he is here to avenge his fallen brother, Ha Pang. Yi is totally unimpressed and thinks this guy talks way too much. The enemy charges in, but instantly feels his vital energy being siphoned away by Yi's demonic branches. Desperate, the killer releases a massive burst of power, making the cavern ceiling collapse. While Yuli panics, Yi holds back the massive falling boulders and tells her squad to get out immediately. The enemy tries to exploit this distraction to strike with full force, but is stopped cold by a flying sword slash. Chujo arrives just in time to back Yi up with his blade. With the enemy staggered, Yi seizes the chance to unleash his devastating atomic blast, then warns Chujo to back away since this opponent is incredibly strong. Outside, the remaining squad watches the lake boil violently until Chujo surfaces completely alone, leaving Yuli terrified for Yi-Hee's survival. But suddenly, a colossal humanoid monster rises from the depths, obliterating the enemy with raw nuclear energy. Once the smoke clears, Yi-Hee returns to his human form, casually asking for clothes to avoid scaring anyone. With the fight over, Yi explains the killer used a plasma bomb, prompting Chujo to note that such high-tech weapons are highly illegal. Chujo swears he saw a massive giant, but Yi plays dumb to keep his second monster form a secret. After Julie says her goodbyes and thanks him for the rescue, our hero decides it is time to go hunting again. Later, the duo heads back to the Red Tree Mountain entrance, only to stand shocked as the quiet zone has transformed into a bustling trading hub. At the trade counter, Yi slams down a heavy bag of loot that almost breaks the table. As he starts emptying stacks of items from Chujo's spatial ring, the receptionist's jaw drops at the massive mountain of monster materials. Yi just tells her to calculate the cash quickly since he needs to buy healing potions. The appraisers are absolutely blown away by how rare his loot is. He has no problem selling the low-grade white and green magic cores since they do not boost his stats, but he keeps the high-grade ones for later. But you and I know peace never lasts long, and a luxury car screeching to a halt right in front of him proves exactly that. An influential businessman named Yushin, owner of the local pharmacy, steps out offering to buy all of his magic cores. Yi is surprised word traveled so fast, but gladly accepts the extra mountain of cash. Yet, this fortune still is not enough to power up his greedy companion's insane diet. Realizing he needs a new approach to get stronger, Yi decides it is time to master elite martial arts. Yi visits the Martial Academy director, who welcomes him with deep respect and high praise. Playing along politely, the young man gives him a rare medicinal wine, which absolutely delights the old man. Seizing the moment, Yi asks for a recommendation to an elite master who can train him in advanced combat techniques. The very next day, right as he gets out of a relaxing bath, the director shocks him with the news that the prestigious Low family has agreed to train him. Meanwhile, across town, a motorcycle is tearing through the streets. On the back, a blonde girl clings tight, deeply impressed by the riding skills of her boyfriend, Jai. Suddenly, Yi casually pedals up right next to them on a cheap bicycle, warning them to slow down. Jai is utterly stunned by where this guy came from. Trying to show off, Jai revs his engine to leave him in the dust. But Yi infuses his bicycle with raw internal energy, rocket launching past their modified motorcycle and leaving them jaw-dropped as he vanishes into the horizon. Reaching the Liu family's massive estate, Yi immediately senses the terrifying presence of true masters inside. Inside, a flustered maid named Chingu guides him to the grand hall. There stands Chin Lan, the elegant matriarch of the family, who welcomes him with an incredibly commanding aura. Yi is genuinely impressed, instantly agreeing with an old proverb about this woman's legendary, timeless beauty. Meanwhile, Liu tries to make excuses to her mother for her recent defeat, but after reviewing the battle footage, Chin Lan already knows exactly why her daughter lost. She sternly reminds Liu that since her brother is too weak, she is the sole heir to their legacy. Chin Lan pressures her to use her charms to find a powerful husband who can protect their family name. And guess who her target is? None other than Yi. To make a great first impression, our hero presents the matriarch with a fine gift. Getting straight to business, Chin Lan reveals her daughter will be his personal instructor. Yi is stunned, wondering if this setup is too good to be true. But Chin Lan explains that mastering their 3 supreme martial styles depends entirely on his dedication. Yi eagerly agrees, earning her respect with his respectful and highly determined attitude. The tense eye contact suggests an instant spark. As they head to his first training session, Yi asks Chingu why she keeps avoiding him, but she quickly denies it. He leans in close to check her face, making her flustered as she quickly steps away. Arriving at a massive runic gate leading to their secret training realm, Yi suddenly gets the urge to punch it out of pure curiosity. Chingu lets him, and we're about to see just how hard he strikes this massive rock. Alright, you and I are diving into a wild training arc. This punch fails to even scratch the gate, making the girl laugh. Chingu then guides Yiha inside, explaining that every fighting style here requires a special identification card. He eagerly asks about the ultimate supreme martial arts, but she insists they need to start with the absolute basics first. Since he will not back down, Chingu opens a heavy black stone door guarding these secret arts. She reveals her family has protected these skills for generations, before showing him the chests holding the ancient teachings. Chingu explains that to master these arts, you must feel them as living things. Yehai, though, barely listens to her words, completely focused on diving straight into the training. So, Chingu opens a chest. To his shock, there is no manual inside, only a statue. This is the moment Yihai finally begins to understand what it means to feel the martial mark. Chingu explains that the true secret of the ancient masters was their ability to seal this mark inside any object. She challenges him to sense it on his own, saying if it is his destiny, he will learn it himself. Clueless, but hopeful, Yihai lies down in front of the statue, praying for some kind of divine sign. While Chingu watches him on a security camera, the system suddenly blesses him with a spiritual body. Out of nowhere, a spirit appears, declaring that only a true warrior can master its legendary techniques. Our hero freezes as he realizes the spirit looks identical to the statue. The entity offers a deal if Yihai protects Bodhisattva from the invading evil forces. He gets to learn one of its skills. As the rain begins to fall, Yihai realizes the trial has officially started. Drawing his sword against the oncoming demons, he prepares to prove his strength, slashing through the advancing spirits. Watching from above, the spirit expects the kid to get crushed like all the other fools. But its jaw drops when it notices the evil spirits cannot even land a single scratch on him. Yihai knows the system is shielding him in this realm, absolutely loving the fact that he possesses an invincible body here. The statue's spirit is baffled as to how this kid is completely immune to the martial mark's crushing pressure, but Yihai just chuckles, claiming he is a very good student. Now pay attention to this wild move. The ancestor promises a skill hidden in a well, but as he explains the evil in the flesh technique, Yihai jumps right in without waiting for the explanation. Shocked by his sheer audacity, the spirit realizes this kid is truly built different. It recalls its own past as a hero, living on the edge and using that exact skill to obliterate S-rank beasts. But spamming that skill came with a heavy price, slowly driving the user mad and causing countless innocent deaths. That is why the ancestor chose death, sealing his martial mark inside the statue. But those vicious demons followed him, meaning only someone who destroys them all can truly master the evil in the flesh technique. Back in the control room, the mother and daughter monitor his progress. Qingju is completely stunned, seeing the boy's physical body already showing signs that he is passing the first trial. But things take a dark turn. His peaceful face suddenly twists into pure agony. Qinlan explains that in his final days, the girl's grandfather once tried to absorb the statue's power, but failed miserably and ended up gravely injured. Suddenly, they are shocked to see the boy wake up completely fine on the ship. Qingju breathes a sigh of relief, seeing him totally unharmed. Yihai feels a deep sense of gratitude to the statue for giving him the mission to uncover the truth of the secret realms. Sure, he totally cheesed the trial, but obtaining the evil incarnate skill literally doubles his power. When the mother and daughter enter the chamber, Qinlan is baffled by how incredibly fast he cleared it. You saw that coming, right? Yihai shows off his new power, leaving Qingshu completely stunned by the massive aura radiating around him. Her mother is almost moved to tears of pride. But when Qinggu asks if Yihai wants to learn more techniques, her mother secretly fumes at her daughter for throwing away family treasures so easily. Reading the room and seeing the mother's face, Yihai decides to pass. Qinlan offers him one of their luxury cars, but he decides a motorcycle would be way more fun. Meanwhile, Ji walks through the estate, excited to meet the legendary powerhouse, who is going to help their family, praying he never crosses paths with that annoying bicycle guy again. But his walk is cut short when Yihai blasts past on a motorcycle, almost wiping him out. Jai is shocked to recognize the rider, while back home, Yihai scarfs down his cores and sauce to boost his stats. With his stats boosted, he decides to upgrade his giant monster model to a massive scale. But after swallowing the demonic plant cores, a brand new genetic mutation unlocks for Demora. Yihai hesitates, wondering if he should actually trigger this mutation, but decides to take the gamble and see what happens. The gene modification begins, promising that once Demora reaches 100% of the wild trait, it will evolve into a literal star of the universe. Yiho is thrilled with the evolution, but a sudden flash outside his window ruins the mood. The military is crawling all over the streets, putting him on high alert for a potential break-in. He tries to brush it off, knowing the previous owner never had visitors, but then a strange woman suddenly materialized on his windowsill. She looks totally annoyed that her grand, stealthy entrance was ruined. With zero patience for small talk, Yihai immediately points his finger at her. Outside, the police corner their target, but the guy refuses to hand over the highly coveted golden gene. He sacrifices himself to buy time for his partner, Yao, but she crashes down right next to him like a falling comet. Her partner, Zhou Yi, remarks that she is so badly burned she looks like charcoal. Despite her injuries, the woman confirms her mission is complete. They pop a smoke bomb and quickly escape down into the sewers. Just when they think they are safe, Yihai corners them, demanding to know why they broke into his home. Yi is furious they got tracked, while Yi scans their power and charges in to test his new skills. The man has zero time to react, leaving the armored woman in shock at Yi's terrifying technique. In desperation, her partner transforms into a massive rhino and charges forward to gore him. Yi is actually starting to have fun, but when the woman tries to sneak attack him from behind, he easily blows her away with a powerful flick and tells her to get lost. Enraged by his partner's defeat, Yi loses his mind and charges with everything he has. Releasing a counterattack, Yi is surprised to find his enemy's defense has boosted significantly. Believing he has won, the rhino beast prepares to finish the job. But Yi completely vanishes from sight, instantly reappearing as a colossal beast that absolutely obliterates the rhino. Seeing this, Yao immediately regrets picking a fight, but she refuses to back down. Using a sharp molecular wire, she wraps it around the giant's neck and slices its head clean off. Yao sighs in relief, thinking she actually won. But the very last thing she sees is a blinding, infinite light. Walking out of the smoke, Yi finds Yi barely breathing and steps up to end him. Before taking his final breath, Yi reveals that Yao hid the golden gene inside Yi's apartment, framing him as a permanent target. Hearing this, Yi executes his foe and tries to quickly clean up the battlefield before the cops arrive, but soon realizes the sheer destruction is way too massive to hide. And that is where we leave it today. With his aunt handling the police, Yi now focuses on uncovering the secrets of this mysterious golden gene. You and I are jumping right into a wild mystery because when he looks closely at this container, he spots a symbol from the Prometheus file his Huodu contact sent. It is obvious some thieves snatched this from Laserbird Biotech. Since his home is in ruins, Yi slips into a hotel without leaving a single trace. Meanwhile, over in the Swan Lake secret realm, a routine sweep turns terrifying as a massive horde of beasts suddenly charges toward them. Led by a monstrous blood-eyed beast, the warriors try to run and warn the authorities, but this terrifying creature has no intention of letting anyone escape alive. With a deafening roar, it hurls giant rocks that instantly crush the squad before they can even finish their radio SOS. Now, the beast commands its entire army to head straight for the rift. As panic sweeps through the terrified citizens, the military scrambles to the front lines as fast as possible, while desperate leaders summon every single available fighter to prepare for an absolute war. The worried mayor desperately prays for a top master from Huodu, but even that neighboring city is currently fighting off S-rank threats. Left completely isolated, the leader of An has only his own local troops to defend their home. Yi and Chuzhou are right in the middle of training when the emergency alarm goes off. Instantly, they head straight toward the battlefield. At the same time, Luing is strictly forbidden from fighting by her mother, who cares only about saving their noble lineage. Furious, the young girl storms out, prompting Qinlen to order their immediate evacuation to a safer city. She also demands a message be sent to Yiha to test his ultimate loyalty. As the invasion looms, even the city's legendary retired veterans assemble at the secret realm, ready to defend their home to the very end. With fierce grit, they guide the rookie fighters against the monstrous horde. Now pay attention, because as the army sets up defenses at the rift, a bloody, dying warrior suddenly stumbles out holding a crucial flash drive. This device holds the terrifying secrets of what is actually happening inside that portal. He gasps out a final warning to stay back, but a massive boulder suddenly flies through the portal, smashing right into a skyscraper. As the building collapses, falling concrete detonates the defensive mines below, causing a massive, fiery blast. The mayor immediately orders a full barrage on the rift, shocked to realize these monsters are actually utilizing clever combat tactics. Another brutal hail of stones rains down as absolute chaos erupts on both sides of the gate. Suddenly, beasts flood the streets, instantly tearing through the frontline soldiers in brutal hand-to-hand combat. Smiling from the shadows, the monster leader is absolutely sure the human defense is about to collapse. A colossal troll charges through the gate, shrugging off heavy gunfire as it ruthlessly crushes the defenders. But just when hope seems entirely lost, Yi finally bursts onto the battlefield to join the fight. Refusing to let these beasts destroy the sanctuary that welcomed him, he leaps straight into the enemy ranks with pure, boiling rage. Nearby, his school friends are already pushing themselves to their absolute limits. Chuzhou feels incredibly proud, watching young and old stand united, until a giant tank is thrown right at his head. With unbelievable skill, he slices the armored vehicle cleanly in half with one strike. Young Shaoling freezes in terror as the giant troll swings a massive hammer to crush them into dust, but the devastating strike is blocked just in time by Yehi. Landing right on the giant troll's face, he attacks furiously to escape its putrid breath. Lu Xin initially mistakes the wild clash for two monsters fighting, but Chuzhou proudly corrects her. stating this young prodigy is their absolute best hope to win this war. Yehei tells his squad to hold down this sector while he rushes off to save other defenders, quickly scanning the area to find where the monster density is highest. On another front, standard bullets do nothing, forcing the brave soldiers to charge with bayonets, only to be brutally stopped by the giant tusks of a mammoth beast. A terrified soldier begs to fall back, but their captain commands them to hold the line, charging forward to slay a monster with his own blade. You and I both know things are about to get crazy when Yi summons the terrifying spirits of his Demore technique, shredding the beasts in a frenzy. But across the field, the other fighters notice something worrying. The monsters are trying to trap him. They rush to his side, knowing he is the only hope to save Anne from absolute destruction. While our hero unleashes sheer chaos on the enemy ranks, the brave mayor holds the line using his massive defensive stone walls. But the mayor knows this brutal siege won't end until the enemy commander is dead. When a stray beast manages to slip past his barriers, he effortlessly crushes it without breaking a sweat. Suddenly, a colossal shadow crawls out of the portal. The mayor recognizes the high-level crocodile threat, realizing the true boss of this invasion is finally arriving. He steps forward, unleashing his strongest spells, only to be countered by massive earth spikes that tear apart whole city blocks. Fortunately, the mayor is highly experienced with this exact breed. Seeing that the massive beast is still partially stuck inside the portal, he moves in for a quick strike, but the resilient creature adapts instantly to block his assault. Suddenly, glowing eyes lock onto him from the shadows, and a giant ape creature leaps from the spikes to grab him. Intent on erasing humanity, the beast slams the mayor brutally into the dirt. Before it can crush him, a sudden explosion erupts right in the ape's fist. The mayor is not going down without a fight, unleashing a desperate, close-range counterattack on the giant monster. Yet, the giant ape stands unfazed, completely confident in its supreme strength. It sneers and demands the mayor bow down, but is shocked when the old leader shows zero fear. That is when the mayor reveals his trump card, snaring the ape commander in glowing rings of light. Absolutely furious at being outsmarted, the beast thrashingly refuses to submit. As the binding light drains its mana, the boss vows to slaughter every human the moment the spell weakens. In response, the mayor reveals a scar on his chest and literally pulls out his own heart, exposing a built-in self-destruct weapon designed to wipe out the enemy. The arrogant ape laughs it off as a bluff, but Wangxing swore to protect this city when elected, no matter the cost. Keeping his promise, he detonates the device, unleashing a massive fiery mushroom cloud over the battlefield. Every single soldier and warrior watches in stunned silence, honoring the leader's ultimate sacrifice. It feels like a silent funeral for Anne's greatest hero as the smoke clears. The blast nearly obliterated the boss, but the remaining chunk of its body is already starting to regenerate, threatening to slaughter them all. But Yehei is not done fighting yet. Our hero charges a devastating nuclear blast from his giant mech, leaving the regenerating beast in a completely pitiful, broken state. Next, Yehei's Demora strikes hard, sending the giant monster flying backward. Yet, somehow, the resilient beast still finds the strength to launch one final, desperate charge. Though torn to pieces, the boss still manages to damage Demora's hand before realizing it is completely outmatched and trying to escape. Furious and ready to avenge the mayor, Yehei unleashes a massive radiant pulse that vaporizes the beast. Even after that massive hit, Yi senses the ape is still breathing, hiding somewhere in the chaos. Deep regret washes over him for failing to save Mayor Hangxing in time. Spotting the beast's hidden tracks on the ruined ground, he fires a massive blast of nuclear energy right at its path. And trust me, you and I are about to see the end of this monster. Because despite its deadly fire sphere, Yehei shatters it completely. But as the smoke clears, a bizarre, dizzying sensation suddenly hits him. To his horror, hundreds of ghostly hands sprout to carry the ape's remains away. But the real shock comes when similar pale hands begin growing directly from his own joints. Recognizing a deadly curse, Yehei spikes his body temperature to over 1,000 degrees, incinerating the creepy hands before they can drag him under. Alright, you and I are diving right back into the action. The giant ape's body was slipping into a rift when a creepy head popped out to shield it from Yehei's attack. Watching this unfold, Yehei couldn't help but wonder if this grotesque form was the ape lord's true self. The beast's final shriek left Yehei dazed, but after the chaos they brought to the city, mercy was off the table. Powering up, he fired a massive energy beam, obliterating the remaining monsters and closing the rift for good as everyone watched in absolute awe. While medics rushed to help the injured, Chujo knew deep down that with losses this devastating, this was no victory. Resting in the smoky crater, Yehei realized that even with his beast summons, he was still no match for a true king like that monkey lord. To bridge this gap, he needed to hunt monster cores to fuse even stronger beasts and reach the peak. 1 month after the tragedy, a memorial statue of the mayor rose in the city's square. Reports of brutal monster attacks flooded the nation, including the shocking death of the kingdom's top martial artist, Fu Wang. Worried about the future, Ye turned to his aunt Qinlin for some serious backup. While relaxing, she assumed he wanted to get his hands on the family's secret technique manuals. But Yi cleared the air. He only needed her help gathering valuable plant cores. Since those high-grade cores cost a literal fortune, Qinlin demanded to know what was in it for her. In exchange, Ye promised to carry Liu Qinggu to the top spot at Huadu College. Skeptical of his claim, she decided to test him. Knowing he needed her on his side, Ye made a massive bet, promising to serve her family forever if he failed his mission. Thrilled by this bold bet, his aunt kicked up her feet and accepted the deal. Later, when Ye visited the wounded fighters at the hospital, an eager crowd immediately swarmed him, trying to get close. Meeting at Chujo's bedside, he joked with his friend, who was so heavily wrapped in bandages he looked like a mummy. Luosan shared the same room, though Ye barely remembered their past tournament clash. Even after losing a leg in the beast raid, Luosan's strong spirit earned Yehi's genuine respect. Suddenly, Yehi's phone started buzzing. It was Wang Tao from the college admissions office. Apparently, the school principal was furious earlier because Yehi had literally blocked the number of a major executive from Huadu. Wang Tao told him that an official train would arrive to pick him up soon. Chujo got his own call too, leaving a frustrated Luosan behind, who missed out on a top-tier school spot. Over the next few days, Yehi kept returning to the devastated battleground to train. The massive explosion left a lingering fog of energy, and training inside it rapidly boosted his compatibility with the core abode. But his intense grind had to stop. College departure day was finally here. Chujo was already waiting at the platform when Yehi arrived, instantly drawing stares from the entire crowd. Even his close friend could feel the absurd pressure of his newly upgraded strength. As the train sped away, leaving the city of An behind, Yehi scanned his fellow passengers' power levels. His conclusion? Only about 5 students on this ride could actually stand a chance against him. Now, pay attention here because things get wild. The luxury college train suddenly came under a barrage of mysterious, heavy attacks, leaving the freshmen in absolute panic. Unsure if this was an official test or a real ambush, Yehi cut his recovery short to investigate. Right then, a bloody freshman named Zhou Jingxian stumbled in, warning that the front cars were being slaughtered. However, a cocky student with wild, lion-like hair named Yan Zhengxian demanded actual proof before panicking. Backed by several other skeptical freshmen, he decided to lead the charge straight to the front cars. Recognizing Yehi, the wounded boy pleaded with him, saying Liu Qinggu had warned everyone not to go forward under any circumstances. This news caught Yehi completely off guard. He explained that she had risked her life to protect him, and he was determined to honor what he believed was her final, dying wish. Annoyed by his dramatic assumption, Yehi shut him up with a punch, telling him to quit the doom posting. He headed for the front, but Zhou tried to block his way. Instantly, Chujo hurled his sword at the kid, who barely managed to deflect it. But he had zero defense left for Yehi's brutal follow-up knee strike to the gut. With the obstacle cleared, the duo pushed through the cabins until they reached a glowing dimensional portal. To test the waters, Yehi tossed a briefcase inside first. Sensing absolutely zero life signs on the other side felt incredibly suspicious, but he jumped in regardless. Once through, he quickly realized Chujo had vanished from his side. Spotting a faint trail of light, he followed it only to find a completely ruined, silent city. To locate the culprits, he leaped onto a high rooftop and blasted his energy to draw them out. That massive flare of energy caught the attention of several hiding students. Deep in the ruins, a wounded Liu Qinggu instantly recognized Yehi's signature power. His loud entrance worked, drawing out a mysterious figure wearing a creepy pig mask. Yehi immediately lunged forward to blast his head off, but the masked attacker took the hit without even flinching. Instead, the killer plunged a sharp machete straight through Yehi's stomach. But to the attacker's horror, the kid's regeneration was absolutely insane. You and I both know he is not one to play around. Exploiting the hesitation, Yehi pried the mask open and unleashed a blast of nuclear energy directly inside, obliterating him. Finding a pendant inside, he realized this whole setup was just a test. The machete, lodged in his gut, dissolved into light. Suddenly, a deadly arrow shot toward him, but Yehi shattered it mid-air with a single glare. A new sniper revealed himself, unleashing a barrage of magic arrows that hit Yehi head-on. But they barely tickled him as he activated his monster armor, releasing a wave of raw pressure that collapsed the entire building. Hiding freshmen watched the massive dust cloud from afar. Crawling out of the rubble, Yehi spotted a new assassin wearing a rabbit mask, realizing they were dealing with some sort of sick Chinese zodiac-themed assault. Despite those glowing red eyes and cute rabbit ears, this fighter was a beast, charging ahead with highly advanced martial arts that actually managed to surprise Yehi. Right as a deadly spear strike was about to pierce Yehi's face, a massive wall of solid ice erupted from the ground, perfectly blocking the impact. Chujo stepped up to flank the rabbit, ready for a quick kill. The assassin swiftly dodged and retaliated with a fast spear thrust, but Chujo was done playing games. He summoned his terrifying beast, freezing the bunny in sheer terror. Just moments earlier, the hiding students had lost all hope, despite knowing that strong elite freshmen were out there hunting these masked killers. But everything changed when Yehi's grand entrance shook the city. The wild-haired lion's mane was left wondering what kind of monster could unleash such raw force. For a smart freshman named Wang Zi, it was obvious this explosion was an ally's doing. Taking a moment, he counted their collected pendants, wondering if other seniors had already taken some. Knowing how suicidal it was to fight the dragon-masked boss, Wang Zi suggested they simply steal the pendants from their fellow classmate rivals instead. Back in the action, Yehi filled Chujo in on the zodiac pendants. Chujo realized they had to hunt the other masked assassins to collect them all, and since Yehi was hit by an arrow, he could easily track their scents. Tracking the scent, they stumbled onto fresh battle scars. Suddenly, Yehi's senses flared. Someone was lurking nearby. Trust me, you need to see what comes next. Chujo fired ice spikes to expose a hidden girl, instantly launching a relentless attack. All right, you and I are jumping right into the action as a freshman named Lan Yusi is saved from a direct hit by Shinchen, a guy who loves mixing fire and smoke in battle. Yiha demands to know why they set up an ambush, but they claim they are only hunting masked players. Unimpressed by their weak excuse, Yiha moves like lightning and grabs another girl hiding nearby in camouflage. Lan Yusi is totally shocked that her clone body trick was exposed so easily. Seeing her fail, Shin steps up to show off his own stealth skills. He puffs his cheeks and blows out a massive cloud of thick smoke, forcing Yihi to jump back. Lan strikes with her fan while Shin cranks up the heat with his flames, boasting about their perfect teamwork. But Yihi is not scared at all. With a single clap, Yihi blows the smoke away, shocking the fire boy. Then, Chujo steps in and lands a brutal right cross, showing him what real power feels like. Now, the fan-wielding girl is completely frozen in fear, as Chujo's ice crawls up her legs. Yihi radiates an aura so terrifying that Lan, in pure desperation, manages to shatter the ice and leaps away to escape. But her escape is useless. Yihi catches up, slamming her to the dirt. Struggling to her feet, she tries a surprise counterattack, creating multiple clones of herself. Seeing this, Yihi takes it as the perfect chance to unleash his inner demons. Instantly, every single one of her clones is completely paralyzed. Beaten, she surrenders and hands over her pendants. She warns him that the lion-haired guy and his partner have already gathered almost all of the items. She admits her real mission was to lead Yihu right to those cheaters. Yihei actually praises her courage. Pay attention here, because things take a dark turn. The cheating duo finds a dismembered body, recognizing it as Shin Chen. Flashback shows the fire user desperately trying to escape from Yihi. Looking back, he comes face to face with a terrifying foe. The freshman is absolutely petrified when he realizes this creepy-eyed man is actually the dragon. Without warning, the monster slashes him and steals his pendants. Back in the present, Wu Yang and Yan know for sure the dragon killed him. Wu Yang finds this weird since the enemy was supposedly trapped in the underground garage, but apparently he slaughtered everyone down there. The duo is furious that this training game has turned into a brutal massacre. Now, the powerful monster is free to hunt down remaining pendants. Needing to find the items first, Wu Yang decides to unleash his bloodline awakening. He transforms into a winged beast, releasing a massive energy signal to attract every remaining player. Meanwhile, Liu Qinggu is feeling hopeless, only wanting to enter a top college to make her family proud. She wonders if Yihi is okay, confident he can defeat the dragon. Suddenly, she hears a noise and panics, knowing she is in no shape to fight or run. In that moment, she decides to give her ox pendant to Yihi. High above, Wu Yang tracks her across the city, swooping in like an eagle targeting a helpless fox. Wu Yang crashes right through the concrete roof down to the ground floor, but hears a creepy voice that definitely is not hers. Standing there is the dragon, staring him down. Wu Yang realizes the beast tracked him for his 4 pendants. As the creature locks its seal onto him, he knows there is only one way out: fight and win. But he barely has time to raise his guard before the monster charges with its blade. Let's check back on the other battle. Chujo decides to fight the lion warrior Yan alone to test his strength. Yan charges, but Chujo is ready with an ice counter. Both activate their lineage beast powers in an intense clash, while Yihi watches, looking totally bored. Suddenly, Yan gets a distress signal from Wu Yang, and that brief distraction almost costs him his head. He tries to run and save his friend, but Yihi is not letting him go. He lands a heavy blow, sending the massive lion man flying 5 meters back. Enraged, Yan goes wild on Yihi. Cut to a few minutes later, and he is already knocked out cold on the dirt. Yihi takes a liking to Yan's sword and decides to borrow it, adjusting the blade for his own style. Shujo searches Yan's spatial ring but finds no stolen pendants. Instead, he finds a weird flashing pendant emitting a strange signal. Meanwhile, Wu Yang is completely exhausted, having poured everything into hitting the dragon with his special sealing nail. But even sacrificing his own arm was not enough to pierce the beast's heart. Accepting defeat, he feels Shenlong's icy blade plunge deep into his chest. Meanwhile, Liu struggles desperately to reach the rooftop terrace, knowing she is the next target. Her only hope is that Yihi can make it in time. She tries activating her ghost bird power, but collapses from exhaustion. As the dragon walks up, her final thought is to send a signal warning Yihi to stay away. But the monster's glowing eyes flash, triggering a massive explosion on the roof. Liu can only watch helplessly as the blade rushes down. Right then, Yihi bursts in, keeping his promise to Lady Qinlan, and hits the beast so hard the building shakes. He yells at Liu to run east for help. The dragon turns, and Yihi notices the sealing nail still stuck in its chest. As they clash, Yihi is thrilled to finally fight a worthy opponent. The dragon goes absolutely wild, catching Yihi off guard. In response, he channels his atomic power and summons his epic Demora armor. The blast shatters the dragon's mask, but its power actually increases. Suddenly, the monster snaps that it is his borrowed sword, striking him from behind. But Yihi catches the blade with his teeth, winds up a massive fist, and delivers a brutal uppercut straight into the creepy-eyed beast. Yihi exploits the opening, striking every vital point on the creature, while it is still weakened by Wu Yang's sealing nail. Yihi then unleashes his final blow, summoning a massive tornado. Turns out, he also borrowed Lang Yuxi's fan to pull off this insane move. He doesn't stop there, aiming straight for the face to humiliate him completely. Punching with absolute fury, he embeds the weakened monster deep into the concrete wall. Even beaten, the dragon still threatens to kill him. Annoyed, Yi finishes the beast and claims the dragon pendant. While Yan mourns his fallen friend, the group quietly respects his grief. Yi then takes the ox pendant and lines up all the artifacts in zodiac order. But nothing happens. Yan explains the dragon pendant is not needed. Its only job was to hunt down the other pendant holders. Removing the pendant activates the magic. A massive portal opens in the sky, and a giant yellow eye sucks him in. And that's where we leave it. Stay tuned for what comes next. Stick with me here because these students just woke up on the Wadu train, absolutely shocked to be alive, only for a voice to announce it was all just a test. The voice crowns the trio who gathered the 12 zodiac pendants as the first place winners. But the ultimate grand prize goes to Yiha for his insane performance, instantly sparking jealous whispers among the crowd. For his reward, Yihi scores a lucky draw and summons a level 13 vampire. He is pretty hyped about his new companion when Yuang approaches him, with Yan trailing closely behind. Yu asks if he actually beat the dragon. Yi casually drops a bomb he didn't just win, he straight up killed the beast. Yu reveals his master plan to start a brand new university club, and he wants Yiha as the president. His goal? Break the ancient tradition of Huadu students ruling everything. This bold move sends a massive wave of hype and confidence through all the other freshmen on the train. Even with everyone else going wild, Yihi stays completely unfazed, calmly stating he prefers to walk his own path. Undeterred by the rejection, Wang hands him a card, planting the seed for a future alliance. And when the train finally pulls into Huadu, even Yihi is stunned by the sheer, massive scale of the city. An assistant leads them through a VIP tunnel, bringing them face to face with a massive ship waiting to carry them to college. The sight leaves everyone completely speechless. Once on board, Yeha tries to tease Lu with a playful poke, but she quickly shuts him down, reminding him that her mom wants her keeping her distance even if they are technically engaged. She warns him to behave before he loses a finger. Yehe just wants to know why they need a whole ship anyway. Lu explains the truth, their college is literally floating in the sky. With that, they blast off toward the clouds. As they sail upward, the ship crosses an electromagnetic barrier. Yi immediately realizes its true purpose, keeping terrifying demonic beasts far away. After landing, a futuristic elevator takes them straight to the dorms. Yiha is stoked by how massive his new place is, eagerly checking out every single luxurious corner. Next, he hops on his phone to buy upgrade cores for his vampire. A delivery drone arrives almost instantly. The second he consumes the cores, a strange, powerful sensation begins surging through his entire body. He feels his fangs lengthen and his claws grow sharper. To test his limits, he literally stabs his own body. Confirming his healing factor is now off the charts, he heads into the training room, letting his inner power explode. All right, watch closely right here. He summons his dual-form vampire creature, surrounded by floating roses, and orders it to unleash its absolute maximum power on him. Then boom, the first massive punch flies. Yeehaw crosses his arms to block, but the sheer force shatters his hands and sends him flying. Still not satisfied, he decides to activate his insane time-stopping ability to push even further. During those 5 frozen seconds, the crushing weight of gravity becomes so intense that the pores on his face literally burst from the pressure. Yet, he still craves more power. The next morning, the bright sun starts irritating his eyes. That is when Chujo drops by to show him the school curriculum, revealing he needs to pick a mentor. But a group chat notification changes everything because of his flawless pendant test run. Yi gets to handpick absolutely any mentor he wants. They arrive at the massive gym, but seeing the endless lines bores him to death, so he decides to ditch and explore the city instead. While wandering the streets, a sudden, sharp scent of blood hits him. He instantly goes on high alert. This is definitely no ordinary blood. Following his nose, he finds a cute girl happily eating a giant sandwich. But don't let her looks fool you, she radiates a terrifying, oppressive aura. Suddenly, she locks eyes with him, asking if he has been training the demonic flesh technique. Surprised by how incredibly mature she sounds, Yi listens closely as she casually mentions helping someone named Little Who master that exact same skill. His jaw drops when he realizes she is talking about the legendary statue spirit, whom she claims she trained 90 years ago. Since Yi clearly thinks she is totally lying, she gets incredibly annoyed by his attitude. To him, her being some ancient elder is as crazy as him, becoming the emperor. Annoyed by his doubts, she decides to give him a taste of her true power, forcing him into a terrifying vision of his own head rolling off a guillotine. The brutal illusion leaves him completely frozen with fear. To make peace, she offers him a lollipop and begs him not to snitch to the school, explaining she only gets 2 hours a day to experience the physical world. Deeply shaken, Yeha demands to know her real identity. Softening her tone, she introduces herself as Gong Kei, an insanely powerful master who supposedly made the school president cry when they were kids. Realizing just how absurdly strong she is, Yehi immediately drops to his knees. He dramatically claims he has searched for years for a worthy master, begging to be her disciple. This actually makes her blush. Meanwhile, back in the gym, the freshmen stare in awe at the 5 elite directors, hoping to get chosen. In reality, these powerful higher-ups are only there for Yi, the absolute beast who scored perfect marks in every single category of the test. Now think about this, they did not even realize the test's dragon boss was modeled after Fu Hongsheng, a legendary warrior whose century-old record was unbroken. Naturally, the directors expect Yi to become a legendary grandmaster. But that hope instantly shatters when an agent reports some shocking news. Yi just requested to train under Gon, a highly dangerous former professor turned special agent. The directors are absolutely horrified. Meanwhile, Yi keeps following the girl around, though she tries to explain she has already been kicked out of the school. He promises that if she takes him as her vassal, he will set her free within 2 years. She loves the offer. At the same time, the furious directors rush over to confront her. A massive director with a stern face barks that she is strictly banned from talking to students and orders her home. To troll them, Gon immediately orders her brand new disciple to follow her right in front of them. As they walk, Gong admits she accidentally crippled a lot of students back in the day. That is why she is locked up in the research institute until she can control her monstrous strength. She asks if he is terrified of becoming her disciple. Afraid? Not a chance. The crazy kid is actually excited by the idea of being torn to pieces during training. They reach floor 66, which has a super narrow hallway custom built to contain her. Seeing her daily free time timer about to expire, Gon sprints forward, yelling at him to keep up at all costs. She slides past the security line just as the heavy doors slam shut, completely locking out the chasing faculty. But this triggers an intense lockdown protocol, which Yihei realizes will suppress his powers. Gong explains that this high-tech facility is actually her cell, before showing him an epic 3-story house loaded with top-tier luxury. Meanwhile, President Shi Jin calms the angry directors and defends Yi. He points out that their main goal is raising a warrior who can save humanity, so they need to let the kid train with her. On his screen, the president tracks Yi's survival rates with Gong. He basically decides that if the boy is ready to die, This extreme danger is actually the ultimate form of training. He wants this next generation of fighters prepared for the coming apocalypse as fast as possible. Back in the cell, Yi begins his first training session, with his master ready to test his limits. She starts with a simple stretch, but the moment Yi takes his stance, she instantly strikes his vitals to show him just how brutal her training really is. Reacting quickly, Yi activates his powerful beast bloodline. But Gonko effortlessly dodges and totally shatters his defense, leaving him in absolute excruciating pain. You and I just saw a taste of her insane strength. But watch what happens next. Yi stands up, completely lets go of his limits, and transforms into a brand new, terrifying beast. You and I are diving right into the action as Ganga, proud of her disciple, finally gets serious. She lunges at the giant monster, which Yi quickly upgrades with thick armor. Completely unfazed, she shreds that armor like paper, blowing his mind. When she leaps onto the beast, Yi triggers the defensive spikes, but she outsmarts him, casting an illusion that binds him in place. Inside this mind-bending illusion, he faces the guillotine once more. The heavy blade drops fast, but just before it chops his head off, he screams the words, "Za Warudo." With that shout, his vampire form awakens. Yi realizes that only pure, unyielding willpower can break him out of this fake reality. He summons a barrage of meteors to shatter the illusory world to pieces. When the dust clears, Yi is flat on his back, armorless, under his master's watchful eyes, groggily asking if she cheated. Ganga insists she won fair and square, though she admits she might have gone a bit too hard. Still, Yi can tell she is definitely hiding something. Breaking into tears, she apologizes and promises to hold back next time. Yi comforts her, saying it is his honor to serve. Feeling his progress, Gong asks him what he wants to learn next. Hyo declares his dream to become a true martial artist and begs to know how she easily sliced through his fully armored arm. Gong explains that endless training is key to finding the line of execution, a hidden thread running through every living being, whether they are human or beast. Now, pay attention here, because Yi realizes his master's technique is not about raw power like a dragon, but precision like a butcher following a thread. Still, Gong suggests he focus on one step at a time to master it. She explains that real martial artists use internal visualization to easily spot their opponent's weakest internal spots, unlike mere apprentices. So, the first step is building a mind stronger than the body. Yi loves this approach, especially since his vampire form already boosted his mental fortitude with the power of Za Warudo. Next, Ganga outlines the 4 tiers of martial arts techniques, ranging from heaven, earth, and mystic yellow, down to no level. Lesser schools teach the basic no-level forms, while Huadu Academy focuses on mystic yellow. Intrigued, Yi asks about the legendary heaven and earth tiers. Ganga reveals they are relics from ancient ruins, with only 10 existing in the entire world. The Imperial University holds 1, but he is still too weak to even get near it. But she has a surprise: he can learn a secret earth technique called the Killer Bodhi Heart Sutra, the very move that inspired Evil Incarnate. This gets Yi incredibly hyped. Ganga then drags him into another dimension, dripping with pure bloodlust, admitting she absolutely loves watching blood splatter. Later that night, Chujo is walking through the city when he spots Yi and heads over to chat. Suddenly, a cold blade presses against his neck, forcing him to get ready to fight. That is when he looks closely at Yi, who is wrapped in a dark, terrifying aura. Just hours before in the illusion world, Yi was fending off waves of vicious zombies using nothing but a single blade. His main goal was to instinctively master that line of execution, but at one point he got overwhelmed and collapsed into the undead horde. Even Ganga is deeply impressed by her student's unreal mental toughness, wondering if this kid might actually be humanity's ultimate hope. After that grueling day of training, Yi is washing off when Lu Qinggu calls him. She tells that the packages sent by his mother have arrived in her room. When Yi casually offers to swing by and grab them, Liu blushes furiously and suggests sending them over via a drone instead. They chat about their mentors, but Yi avoids mentioning his master's brutal training, faking a bad connection to quickly end the phone call. By the middle of the school year, Yuang has recruited quite a few members into the Dragon's Blood Society. But the other Huadu students hate them, especially the country's most famous freshman genius, Xiang Jianhui. Meanwhile, as you and I probably guessed, Yi completely vanishes for 3 whole months to grind relentlessly in a hidden basement. Down there, he gets literally stomped on by his master, a wild training method to inject the vital energy needed to stabilize his power level. Despite the brutal force of those strikes, Yi endures and pushes his body through intense physical training. Suddenly, a sudden energy explosion remodels his muscles, leaving his master absolutely thrilled by his newly enhanced physique. With 3 months of hellish training complete, Yi prepares to head out. Ganga tears up, already missing him, but he promises to return soon. Returning to the city, Yi stretches, finally free from his confinement, but he has work to do. At Huadu, taking on security missions pays out massive rewards. So, he heads straight to the activity center to grab a job and run into his old friend Chujo, who's thrilled to see him back. Chujo brags that he finally became a martial artist and wonders how much Yi has grown. He asks if Yi can take down Xiang Jianhui, the genius who crushed Yuang in just 10 minutes. Soon after, Chingu joins the group. Remembering her mother's advice, she leans in to give Yi a kiss, but he gets slightly annoyed that she did not even greet him first. Realizing she completely misread the moment, Chingu turns away in frustration. The trio then walks over to the giant screen showcasing top missions, and as Yi scans them, Chingu points out 3 good options. She explains that while quests have 5 levels, freshmen are strictly locked to level 2 missions or lower. But Yi pulls out his special privilege card from his master, giving him access to high-tier quests. Chingu begs to know where he got it, but he keeps quiet. After browsing, they choose the toughest, highest-paying quest on the board. Seeing this, the receptionist at the desk is absolutely outraged by the sheer audacity of these rookies. Yi flashes his special pass, but she still insists on calling the dean's office. After a quick phone call, her attitude completely flips and she wishes them luck. Before heading out, Yi stops by the mechatronics lab to claim his bonus weapon from the director. He walks out with a Divine Star gold sword that channels 95% of his energy. Testing it, Yi is stunned by the blade's incredible sharpness. To keep things quiet, the trio travels to Lingui County disguised as ordinary students. Once they arrive, Yi quietly scans the surroundings to avoid tipping off their targets. Chujo wants to head straight to the university's inn, but a local man suddenly pulls up, offering a ride in his 3-wheeled cart. Instinctively, Yi senses that their mission has already started. They climb into the old man's cart, chatting happily about the town as if they were old buddies. As they approach, the driver invites Yi to a city festival happening in 2 days. Soon, they arrive at their destination, a rundown, heavily damaged abandoned house. Stepping inside, Chingu explores one of the side rooms and stumbles upon a creepy, sinister altar. Yi notices the fresh wood, realizing it was placed here recently, since the rest of the house is completely rotting away. Seeing this, Chujo instantly draws his sword, ready to smash the creepy statue to pieces. But Chingu stops him to investigate first. She pulls the cloth off, revealing a glowing eye, and trust me, you and I are going to want to see what this demonic power does next. Let's dive right in as Chujo slices a creepy statue that starts bleeding black liquid. To stop the entity from escaping, Yi triggers his ability, while Chujo seals the multi-headed demon with his blade. Chingu watches in awe, until a cold hand suddenly grabs her shoulder. Relax. It is just Yehei. Seeing that she is falling under a psychic spell, he injects his own willpower to shield her mind. Realizing the city's curses stem from the statue, Yehei orders his allies to guard the sealed beast while he hunts down the suspicious old tricycle driver. Meanwhile, over at a Buddhist temple, that very same toothless driver is being welcomed by a priest. The priest leads him toward a massive gate to discuss the strange things happening in the county with the head monk. But as the monk's voice rings out, the guide senses an intruder and instantly transforms into a hideous lizard-like beast. The old man, Shining, falls to his knees, crying out that a living immortal is near. Suddenly, Yeha bursts in, shielded by the spirit of Zawarudo, and obliterates the monster in one clean strike. Immediately, the temple's Buddhist statues spring to life for battle. Zaza blocks the opening blow, so Yeha doesn't even have to flinch. Summoning the divine sword he won back in college from his spatial ring, Hyo begins hacking them to pieces. The stone giants fire lasers in retaliation, but they are far too slow to hit him. With a clean horizontal slash, Yehi splits his statue wide open, exposing robotic gears inside. Sadly, during the chaos, the old tricycle driver is killed while praying. Yeha now gets why there were no signs of life, leaving him fascinated by this bizarre technology. Moments later, Zaza smashes open a massive gate, revealing a hidden underground temple. A monk steps out, preaching a message of peace and love. But Yehi instantly spots the fake, slicing the robotic monk right down the middle. And here's where things get crazy. A new monk pops up. The floor literally collapses under Yehei, and he falls straight into a dark basement filled with staring, sinister eyes. This level is packed with lizard men holding the power of low-rank martial artists. Unfazed by the horde, Yehi unleashes his Xuan Huang technique, absolutely shredding through their ranks. He wonders what sick temple designs these monsters. By the time he is done, he has piled up enough lizard hides to make a winter coat. Yet, a bald monk demands Yehei receive a cleansing. Suddenly, a massive, rage-filled Buddha statue rises, slamming its giant palm down with enough force to rattle his ancestors. But the giant machine glitches out because Yehei corrupted its system. Confused, the robot tries to scan for its targets, only to face the terrifying summoned beast, Daimora. Chanting a sacred mantra, Daimora throws a brutal, thorny punch that smashes right into the robotic Buddha. The machine fires back with lasers and heavy missiles. Too bad for them, high-tech weapons are useless against a true martial artist like Daimora. The robot tries one last desperate spike attack, but Daimora counters with a nuclear energy blast, securing an epic victory. After winning, Yi-He enters a lotus-shaped structure to find the mastermind. Meanwhile, 30 minutes earlier, two scientists were nervously watching his entire invasion on screen. They kept hoping the next machine would stop him, but not even their powerful meta-Buddha could stand against Yi-He, leaving the doctors in absolute despair. The lead scientist with a weird eye hopes the guards can stall him. Suddenly, Dr. Feng, a former Prometheus researcher now working for Laser Bird, orders the base to be rigged to blow as they escape. It turns out Laser Bird took over the local temple, replacing all the monks with robots to brainwash the citizens. They lured people into experiments by promising divine blessings. But before the scientists can flee, Yehei corners them, easily dismantling the guards in his way. Cornered, Dr. Feng threatens to blow up the base. Yeehaw grabs his head, nearly crushing it like a grape before tossing him aside. He demands answers about their goals in Lynch County and the murder of 3 martial artists. The scientist warns that speaking will trigger a bomb in his head. Instead, he bites a poison capsule and dies instantly, shocking Yi-He with how suicidal Laser Bird agents are. You and I know death is rarely the end. The base begins to self-destruct, but Yi-He tells the dead doctor that dying is way too easy. Slamming a hand into the corpse's neck, Yi-He resurrects him as a loyal ghoul destined to serve him forever. The scientist regenerates, transforming into a 40-year-old man whom Yi-He nicknames Mad Doctor. Linking minds, Yi-He begins digging into his memories to find out how long Laser Bird has controlled this town. He witnesses a horrifying memory of the doctor devouring 3 young disciples who were sent to the temple as sacred offerings. The doctor suspected foul play when he saw citizens collapsing while receiving blessings. While praying to the celestial descent realm, he spotted a numerical sequence on his arm and recognized it as a hidden corporate code. Plugging the numbers into a computer, he discovered he was just a lab rat. He had written that code himself to bypass his own brainwashing. Clearly, the mastermind behind everything was the celestial descent realm. Yi-He realizes they are dealing with a twisted cult. Peering deeper into his mind, Yi-He learns the city was a corporate playground that got hijacked by this creepy cult who systematically brainwashed every single resident. They built an army of cyborgs to replace local martial artists. The doctor tried to fight the mind control, but it was always useless. The cult uses 4 stages of brainwashing to turn people into mindless zombies, feeding their stolen life force to a demonic fetus from a secret world that is about to hatch. Connecting the dots, Yeho realizes this horror show is scheduled to drop on the day of the city's festival. With the puzzle solved, Yi-He suspects the doctor played a part in the Golden Gene project. Still, he focuses on clearing Lynchway County first. Even though his mission is technically over, Yi wants to steal the victory from the Heavenly Descent Kingdom. He orders the doctor to poison the city's water supply with his own blood. Since the brainwashed citizens are past saving at stage 4, he figures they might as well serve him instead of some demonic mutant fetus. Heading back to base, the hero finds his friends eating. Lu hates the food, but when Chujo looks closer, he realizes they are eating human flesh. Talk about a nasty twist. Yi-He breaks down the truth, leading Lu to realize this mission's threat level has spiked past level 3. Still, Yi is confident they can handle it and decides to wait for nightfall. Meanwhile, over at Laser Bird headquarters, the leaders are desperately plotting their next move. Trust me, you and I are in for one hell of a ride. Alright, you and I are starting with a villain ordering his own researchers blown to pieces before sending in an investigation squad. Over at the county water treatment plant, the doctor successfully removes his implanted bomb, with Yi ordering him to execute the next phase. Meanwhile, a dangerous martial artist called Catfish is just pulling into the train station. Traveling with him is Ares, a woman disguised as an ordinary mother who is dying to know which of Laser Bird's enemies is bold enough to interfere with their operations. Elite members Bluebird and Golden Snake suggest checking the base first. However, their captain, Black Lion, trailing closely behind, decides it is far better to obliterate everything in sight. He divides his squad to finish the mission instantly. Golden Snake and Bluebird are sent to patrol the city, but they immediately notice a deeply eerie vibe hanging over the streets. Suddenly, Bluebird spots a strange clay statue and senses its bizarre energy. Meanwhile, Golden Snake gets a full briefing from the captain about the massive path of destruction Yihei left behind. Right then, a terrifying horde of sleepwalking, zombie-like citizens begins surrounding them. Serpent calls Bluebird to prepare for battle, but she is already possessed and drives a knife deep into his stomach. In absolute shock, he notices a sinister moon demon statue standing nearby. High above, Ye looks down at the town, sensing his own life force getting completely blocked. He quickly warns his allies about the movement of the sleepwalking horde, but it is too late. Serpent and Bluebird are already bound tightly to wooden pillars. Surrounded by staring zombies, he desperately tries to wake his partner, even attempting to bargain with these drooling monsters who are hungry for fresh meat. Suddenly, a giant bell tolls and the moon descends, throwing the brainwashed servants into a wild frenzy. They crawl over each other, building a mountain of writhing flesh to climb the wooden pillars where the laser bird members are tied up. Sensing danger, Captain Black Lion remarks that something major is going down. Stepping outside, they see a massive moon consuming the sky, casting a terrifying beam of light directly onto the earth. This apocalyptic scene deeply troubles the captain, and the three warriors immediately charge toward the source of the chaos. En route, they spot a strange presence and the captain hurls his heavy sword, only for a spinning wheel shield to block it. It is bizarre to find a high-tier magical treasure out here, but Liu Qingju steps forward, using her umbrella shield to greet them. Now pay attention, this brief clash leaves the captain questioning who his real enemies actually are. Catfish and Ares charge forward, but Liu and Chu stand their ground. Chu quickly conjures a massive wall of solid ice, but the enemy shatters his defense as if it were nothing but dry sand. With their defenses broken, the duo tries to retreat, but Black Lion cuts them off from behind. Suddenly, a massive sword drops from the heavens, almost slicing the captain in half, marking Yeha's grand arrival to the battlefield. The lion quickly unleashes his 12 Phantoms technique, splitting into 12 clones to strike our main character from every single direction. Summoning Zaza, our hero leaps unpredictably between the illusions until he pinpoints the real Black Lion and instantly crushes him. Yeha then absorbs the captain's blood, ranking up to martial level 8, leaving the bandits absolutely terrified of his power. Using a forbidden dark art, he resurrects the captain's dead body. Panicking, the woman tosses her baby into the air, which mutates into a hideous cyborg monster. This horrific distraction lets Catfish and the heartless mother escape, abandoning the child. Yeha orders his allies to destroy the cyborg aberration while he hunts down the fleeing martial artists. Chujo unleashes his ultimate ice dragon form and lunges directly at the beast, but as he swings his sword, he realizes the creature is ridiculously fast. So, he orders the captain's shadow thrall to prove its worth. The entity multiplies, instantly slicing the cyborg monster into tiny pieces. Lu unleashes his spiritual energy, activating his bird bloodline to trap the enemy in his sphere of power. Meanwhile, Bray tries to flee through the sewers, but Yehi corners him instantly. Imagine the terror Ares sees her son destroyed and realizes she is totally alone. In absolute panic, she runs toward the ominous moonlight, deciding to risk everything rather than face certain death at the hands of Yehei. But she freezes when she runs straight into a massive wall of sleepwalkers piling on top of one another. Iho is hot on her heels, completely confident he will catch her. Desperate, the woman climbs over the zombies like a ladder to reach a giant gate. Reaching the top, she is shocked to see her parents again, wondering if she was also abandoned. As she approaches the gate, the scary image of Yihi chasing her slowly fades away. Our hero realizes the Heavenly Descent Kingdom used the woman's fear to create his illusion, baiting her inside. Yihi simply watches it happen, waiting for the true demons to show themselves. Finally, the moon returns to its normal size, dispersing the zombies across this ghost town. Qingju is apprehensive about the mission, but our hero tells her to relax because someone extremely powerful is secretly helping them. Chujo is deeply intrigued, knowing that only elite heirs of great martial families undergoing mortal trials ever receive such powerful, legendary backing. Yiho summons his shadow demons and tells his friends to destroy every statue hidden in the city. Chujo heads out immediately, but Qingju hesitates, looking deeply worried. Our protagonist asks his future bride to trust his sharp instincts. She agrees, but warns him that he must also trust his allies. Later, our hero meets the scientists who gathered the broken cyborgs inside a massive crater. Yehei summons his main monster and floods the pit with his own blood, converting these scrap metal creatures into his personal zombie army. The scientist confirms that modified mosquitoes are already swarm-bound for the county to infect everyone with Yehei's vampiric blood. Thrilled by this, our hero orders the scientist to repair the Maya Buddha to use its ultimate weapons in battle. He cannot wait to clash with the celestial cult leader. With that, his group takes a bus to the county, expecting the demon fetus to drop like the New Year's ball in Times Square. On the festival day, the moon shines down on the absolute chaos. The high priest watches proudly, knowing this is only the third time this supreme fetus is being born, cementing his name forever in the dark history of their faith. The prior births caused utter catastrophe. The first brought mass devastation, while the second turned the entire region into an extremely hostile S-rank forbidden zone. Determined, the priest prepares the ritual to welcome the demon once more. He climbs a mountain of corpses, offering his own fresh blood to the portal. A sacred coffin is brought forward as other fanatical worshippers gather. They add their blood to the pool, and the bald priest begins his terrifying ritual chant. Suddenly, a giant bell echoes through the cathedral, awakening the souls of the sleepwalkers. But the priest freezes in absolute anger as the ritual energy turns blue, desecrating their sacred ceremony. That is when Yehe crashes the party, unleashing a wave of power that shows this priest who the true demon really is. Under a blood-stained moon, the corrupt priest falls. But Yehe's brutal display is suddenly interrupted by a hooded, sinister figure. This strange man invites him to join the divine sect, revealing himself as Linky, the supreme bishop. Yeho charges the leader, but we are left hanging as Linky unleashes massive tentacles to trap him. Alright, you and I are jumping right into the action as Yeha summons Guardian Zaza to deliver a brutal, surprise strike on the bishop. But despite the impact, the bishop instantly starts regenerating. Things take a dark turn when chanting priests surround Yehi and suddenly sacrifice themselves. Yehi knows this is a trap, and he is proven right when their dead bodies mutate into grotesque monsters. These beasts look straight up demonic, so utterly hideous, they make you want to turn around and run for your life. Seeing a literal demon horde, Yi summons his own army of cyborg lizards to clash with them. Meanwhile, a hairy priest uses his spiritual sight to track down Yehi, realizing our main character's real target is the fetus. But when Lu and Chujo suddenly arrive in full armor, the terrified priest panics about the mission and thinks only of escaping. Yehi approaches the freezing coffin, rewarded for hijacking the original ritual. Determined to put down this demon once and for all, he opens the lid only to find it completely empty. Suddenly, total silence falls, and the high priest reappears. He reveals that the massive moon in the sky is just a massive illusion, and that Yi is actually trapped inside a dream. Elsewhere, Lu and Chujo are fighting hard against the hairy priest's archdemon. Transforming into his draconic form, Chujo decides it is time to unleash his ultimate, most devastating strike. But the demon blocks it barehanded, shattering Chujo's sword, though a sharp blade fragment still stabs the beast's mouth. Just then, the Mad Doctor arrives with an energy bazooka and deploys toxic drones to help. The bewildered priest wonders how these kids are so insanely powerful, but Chujo just replies they are only freshmen from Huadu. Suddenly, multiple coffins crash down, releasing sleepwalkers. Lu instantly recognizes some of these mind-controlled warriors from Huadu. Seeing this, the smiling priest praises his god for the backup. Realizing Lu Chingu is in danger, the Mad Doctor sends his army of giants to support her. She breaks free from the sleepwalkers' assault to help Yihi, but the priest commands his corpses to stop her from reaching the fetus. Despite her efforts, a heavy projectile hits Lu Chingu directly. Even though she is badly wounded, she refuses to stop and manages to fall right into Yihi's arms. Dragging her injured body, Lu Qingshu takes flight to carry Yihi away from danger. Below, she notices the giants have been destroyed by the warrior corpses. Suddenly, a booming voice commands her to drop Yihi, unleashing a brutal psychic attack. Now pay attention here, she loses control and starts free-falling as the creepy corpses below stretch their necks into sharp stakes to impale her. Fortunately, Yihi recovers his strength just in time to activate his powerful Zahawudo ability. He quickly apologizes to Lu Qingshu for falling asleep, bringing her a massive wave of relief. The priest is absolutely furious that Yihi escaped his mental illusion and commands his corpse horde to charge. In response, Yihi summons a massive humanoid giant that completely tramples his enemies. Suddenly, the clash is interrupted by a dog's bark. The priest who trapped Yiha in that illusory realm begins to suffer severe backlash, experiencing the exact same nightmare himself. Next, the chilling voice of the moon demon orders the priest to enter a coffin to serve as its vessel. While this happens, Yihi wipes out the remaining enemies until only one threat is left standing. The moon demon itself descends with a freezing gaze. Yihi is actually glad the real boss has finally shown up, but he quickly notices that their entire surroundings have transformed into a giant moon. He realizes he is trapped in a chamism, a deadly illusion that causes real, physical damage, and one that his system's golden body cannot protect him from. Here is where it gets crazy. The demon approaches Yihi, praising his bravery and perfect compatibility, before offering him a chance to team up and rule the world together. Naturally, Yi rejects the offer, flatly stating he prefers working alone. Angered, the demon coldly warns him that while he asks nicely first, he always takes what he wants by force. Instantly, the demon tears Yi's giant body apart with one hand, leaving him pinned. But when the deity touches him, he realizes Yi's soul is completely missing. Yi laughs, revealing he used a vampiric split body regeneration. If one half gets destroyed, he simply wakes up in the other. The demon is stunned by this genius play right until a shining golden blade suddenly shatters the illusionary reality. It is none other than Qinglong, First Division Chief of the Bird and Dragon Order. Yi laughs quietly, having reported the demon beforehand since he knew he could not win this alone. Deciding to save Yi's body for later vessel use, the demon hurls him far away from the battlefield. The division chief wonders why the demon is so interested in the kid, but decides to focus on the fight first, launching a ruthless strike. Meanwhile, Yi crashes in a capsule deep within a distant forest, feeling nauseous and realizing he is far from Lingwei County. Luckily, he already sent his friends and the doctor to safety. Since he is alone, he takes this chance to study the strange energy he absorbed from the moon demon, Barros. He aims to fuse this stolen power with his Raudo skills to manipulate illusionary spaces, especially since his Vermilion model already has the ability to bend time. Consequently, his vampiric skill evolves with powerful new attributes. Yi is blown away by his massive power spike, even though getting it nearly got his closest friends killed. After a quick test run, he heads back to the academy to secure some backing, knowing for sure that Master Qinglong will want to interrogate him about the incident. Returning to Hawadu, he meets President Shen Jingwen, who praises him for completing the county mission. Yi, however, finds it suspicious how easily a literal sacrificial cult was swept under the rug. The president reassures him that the mission will be filed as level 4 to keep the public calm, but he guarantees the reward payout will match a level 5 classification. Yi finds the president's high praise quite amusing, especially since the man seems completely blind to the wild shortcuts he took to win. The following day, while waiting for his interrogation in the president's office, Yi stares at footage of the county battlefield turned into a massive crater, fearing the demon might hunt him down. Although the president assured him that Qinglong is an expert at sealing demonic corruption, Yi remains extremely nervous. That anxiety lasts right until Chief Qing enters, looking totally different than before. Qinglong explains that the brutal battle left him with permanent physical side effects, and he is here to seal the demonic energy lingering inside Yi. Before starting, he shares that he once almost mutated into a full demonic beast, leading to his exile on a remote island to protect innocents. But as Qinglong unwraps his bandages, the cursed symbols on his skin literally make Yi's eyes bleed. Still, Qinglong is impressed that Yi did not immediately pass out from the site. He promises to cleanse the demonic mark forever, unleashing a blinding purification energy that Yi's system recognizes instantly. Once the seal is complete, Yi thanks him, but Qinglong suddenly asks if Gong Kei is his master. Yi remembers she warned him to keep it a secret. Luckily, Qinglong holds no grudge and wishes her well. Out of nowhere, though, he proposes a friendly sparring match, claiming some casual practice never hurt anyone. Yi accepts, suggesting they clash under the night sky. They head to an outdoor arena, where the powerful master confidently announces he will only defend himself using a single hand. Here are the rules. If Yi can make him take even one step, he wins whatever he desires, alongside an immediate promotion to the elite First Division of the Bird and Dragon Order. As we wrap up today, keep an eye on Yi drawing his sword, releasing a demonic aura that deeply intrigues the master. Let's dive into an epic clash where Yi's first strike is so loaded with pure killing intent, even Gong Kei feels the insane pressure from inside her cocoon, forcing Qinglong to brace himself. Meanwhile, in his private room, elite student Xiang Jianhai is relaxing with a young woman when he suddenly senses this terrifying aura from afar, finding the intense bloodlust incredibly bizarre. Even as the surrounding academy ruins crumble, Master Qinglong stands completely unfazed. Yi is caught off guard when the master retaliates with a brutal military fist, leaving him zero room to recover. As the boy collapses, the master realizes he drained his life force to execute a forbidden technique. To save him from a fatal backlash, the old man dashes forward to catch him. With extreme casualness, Yi points out that since the master stepped off his mark, he officially loses. Qinglong surprisingly agrees, and Yi smirks, promising to collect his prize later. The Grandmaster advises him to build up his physical body to withstand that massive killing aura. Yi just grins, secretly proud that he did not even have to activate his legendary Emperor form. Qinglong drops heavy hints about finding a proper mentor, basically offering to train him, but clueless Yi totally misses the sign. Instead, he says he will just ask the president for a recommendation. Reluctantly, the master gifts him a Western medallion containing rare physical cultivation secrets. Our hero is thrilled, completely unaware that Qing Long struggled immensely to learn those grandmaster-level techniques himself, hoping the kid would beg him for guidance. Later, while Yi is inspecting his new prize in his dorm room, his doorbell rings. Standing outside is the freshman Wu Yang, looking desperate to talk. Yi invites him inside but is completely stunned when the kid drops to his knees, begging him to become the new president of the Dragon's Blood Society. Disgusted by this pathetic broken spirit, Yi drags him into a brutal training session to rebuild his spine. Wu Yang is left utterly speechless from exhaustion, but a generous Yi hands him a rare blood transformation pill to recover. Feeling revitalized, Wu Yang explains that their faction initially gained massive traction, despite being made up entirely of students from outside the local region. But soon, the elite student council run by arrogant local nobles from Huadu began sabotaging them. The main culprit behind their ruin is a high-profile bully named Xiang, who went out of his way to publicly humiliate them. But pay attention here because Yi isn't buying this sob story about getting wrecked by some school bully. Wu Yang adds that getting seniors involved would destroy their reputation on campus. That is why he is begging Yi, a powerhouse fellow freshman, to step up and handle this. Our hero agrees to help, making Wu Yang tear up with gratitude. But Yi warns he won't start trouble over a simple schoolyard grudge. That is when Wu Yang reveals an epic conquest mission officially sanctioned by their academy professors. The grand objective is to reclaim 12 cities conquered by demonic beasts, and the academy is recruiting powerful students to lead the charge. As president, Yi must secure a high qualifier score to allow the Dragon's Blood Society to participate. He accepts immediately. Once Wu Yang leaves, Yi grins, realizing this monster-slaying campaign is the perfect opportunity to farm massive rewards and grow infinitely stronger. Meanwhile, the desperate remnants of the Dragon's Blood Society gather at their rundown headquarters. Xinchen is loudly whining about Wu Yang being late, testing the patience of Yan, their fierce leader. Keeping his cool, Yan calmly replies that Wu Yang is currently recruiting the society's true savior. This reply outrages Xinchen and Lan Yuze, who demand they disband this joke of a faction. But Yan shuts them down, urging them to hear the plan first. Xinchen suggests they ditch this sinking ship and pledge loyalty to Jokai, an elite heir from a powerful imperial family. Whispers erupt through the crowd, with many doubting if they can trust their long-missing former leader. Before Yan can argue, Jokai himself kicks the door open, swaggering inside. An arrogant Yan immediately lunges at the intruder, but a chillingly cold female bodyguard blocks his path with ease. The self-proclaimed leader demands that anyone wanting to join his crew must prove their loyalty by savagely beating Yan. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. Is anyone going to step up? Right on cue, Yi bursts in, grabs Jokai by his hair, and ruthlessly tosses both him and that cold-faced girl straight out the window. Yi coldly commands all the spineless traitors to get lost immediately. Realizing their massive mistake, they hesitate, drowning in deep regret. Wu Yang offers them a final chance at redemption, provided they accept a severe punishment. Yi flashes them a terrifying, demonic glare, forcing them to quickly nod in fear. Soon, Yi gathers his inner circle to map out a strategy to qualify for the City Reconquest Tournament. He boldly declares his target is to crush Qiangji and Hai, slicing their problems off at the root. But Wu Yang breaks the bad news, explaining that the top freshmen are entering seclusion to break through to the martial master rank, leaving Yi highly disappointed. Since generating hype is the fastest way to stack cash, Yi asks if they are familiar with the elite bird and dragon division. Yan's eyes widen, knowing it is the most legendary martial faction in the Sea Kingdom, sparking a wild idea in Yi's head. Leveraging his status as their absolute ace agent, Yi plans to challenge every single student below the Grandmaster tier. Yan is utterly speechless, knowing no student has ever possessed such authority. Yi confirms his top-secret clearance without elaborate detail, putting his full trust in his leader. Wu Yang immediately leaks this explosive challenge to the school media. The shockwave spreads instantly, leaving the entire campus stunned by the sheer scale of the challenge and Yi's hidden identity. Meanwhile, his old buddies just laugh, knowing their friend lies for absolute chaos. With the deathmatch finalized, the marketing team starts hyping up the live broadcast. Wu Yang watches the view count explode, thrilled by the flood of massive advertising sponsors wanting in on the action. Meanwhile, a humiliated Jokai plots to hijack this stage for his personal revenge. When the big day finally arrives, the arena is completely packed, and millions tune in globally. To make an unforgettable entrance, Yi descends from a helicopter like a literal rock star. Eager to farm clout and steal the spotlight, a veteran fighter named Long Tao makes a flashy entrance, desperate to be the first one to face him. The crowd roars, but Yi instantly connects with a devastating punch right to the challenger's chin. Even with a shattered nose, all Long Tao cares about is his precious internet clout. Next up is Yao Ling, a prodigy who has crushed 3 high-level martial masters, but Yi effortlessly shatters her spear with his bare hand. Growing bored of the easy one-on-one matches, Yi challenges the remaining fighters to charge him all at once. They swarm him together, but he effortlessly dismantles them, one by one. Watching the slaughter, a shaken Jokai realizes he is outclassed and decides to call in his powerhouse older brother. As the dust settles over the defeated fighters, his brother, Yading, enters the arena. This new challenger boasts enough raw power to crush a grandmaster, starting by apologizing for his younger brother's disrespectful behavior. Raising an eyebrow, Yi asks why he is stepping onto the field. Yading declares he is fighting to defend his family name, claiming that regardless of his brother's faults, Yi crossed the line by humiliating them. He demands our protagonist get down on his knees and beg for forgiveness. Clashing with insane force, the battle erupts. Amidst the blinding shockwaves and massive explosions of dust, it is impossible to see who holds the upper hand. Suddenly, Yi feels the heat rising as Yading's armor glows red, his arm completely overtaken by the scorching energy of the legendary Sunblood power. Everyone holds their breath as Yi unleashes his monster armor, landing a devastating punch straight to Yading's face. And that's where we leave it, with the crowd crowning our main character as the absolute Demon King. We are jumping right back into the action where Yading is trying to figure out why Liu loves such a brutal fighter, but suddenly, Yi goes giant mode and launches an all-out attack that Yading has to block. Knowing his bones are about to shatter from that raw pressure, Yading switches tactics, using sheer speed to dodge since raw strength is a losing game. This crazy agility works wonders. He evades the giant Yi's hits while cranking his own body heat up so high he looks like he is carrying the actual sun. Next, he unleashes his ultimate scorching fire attack. Yi is completely thrilled by the challenge and counters with a brand new technique of his own, the devastating sky-ending dragon cannon. The two massive attacks clash with a world-shaking blast. Yading thinks his life is over, but right before he gets vaporized, the Academy's director steps in. The director had no plans to interfere today, but Yi actually fired that overpowered shot just to bait the powerful man out. Taking over the stage, the man shouts in a booming megaphone-like voice, asking if any other student dares to challenge the beast. When absolute silence meets his question, he officially crowns Yi as the tournament winner. Our protagonist celebrates his big win while the hype announcer declares that this absolute freshman has just carved his name into school legend. Instantly, Yi goes viral online, becoming the ultimate role model for every rising fighter at Anchang. But, as you can guess, this fame seriously triggers the elite bird and dragon division. While his guild celebrates the massive win in his room, Yi slips away to call the crazy doctor, who drops a bomb. He finally unlocked the legendary golden gene. But there is a catch. The artifact has a laser bird tracker that triggers if anyone touches it. To bypass this, the doctor is building a special magnetically shielded room that will be ready in 7 days. Yi then ends the call. Feeling suspicious, he sneaks into the doctor's mind. What he uncovers is terrifying. Project Prometheus is harvesting resources from the celestial realm to secretly grow a demonic fetus. Ye also learns that the project leaders betrayed their own cult just to capture the first demon and run twisted experiments on it. This research birthed Project Eden, aiming to build a synthetic god to protect Blue Star, alongside Project Spark, which genetically modified humans and created the laser bird golden gene. Now, pay attention here because we've only scratched the surface of these dark projects. For now, he focuses on studying the mysterious amulet given to him. Using his sleep cultivation technique, he wakes up clad in armor on a dark, rainy battlefield. Unnatural fires burn everywhere, and the corpses are covered in inhuman claw marks. He sheds the heavy armor, getting ready for the final boss. Suddenly, a carriage driven by a mustache-wearing man rushes past, treating Yi like a mere obstacle. Yi blocks the carriage, making the driver think he is a thief. The old man is deeply offended, claiming a blue-haired thief had recently tried to steal his family heirloom. Done listening to the long monologue, Yi simply smashes the carriage, forcing the old man to guide him through this aura-filled realm. Terrified and annoyed, the driver leads Yi down a path toward the trials, but intentionally leads him astray, letting the tracks on the ground completely vanish. Unfazed, Yi scans the sky and easily exposes the old man's trap. Shocked by his sharp eyes, the driver is forced to let Yi take his horse to reach the open plains. The two ride off at full speed, but the horse suddenly bucks, throwing them to the ground as it senses an overwhelming threat. Through the dust, Ye spots a horrifying monster and identifies it as the legendary Star Devourer. It breathes fire at them, but the old man walks away completely untouched. Here's the catch, you and I need to realize the goal isn't to slay the beast, but to feed its sacred relics. The old man is shocked Yehe survived. Step by step, our hero absorbs the raw local monster energy. To fight the giant beast on equal terms, he unleashes his mighty emperor form. The old driver watches in complete shock as they trade lightning and fire. Charging with raw fury, Yehe blows away most of the dragon's heads. He fires a massive atomic beam, obliterating the beast before ripping its giant heart out. The old driver can't believe what he is witnessing. Exploring the colossal heart, the intense heat actually begins melting Yehe's arm. But searching deeper, he finds a metallic thread that wraps tightly around his body. This summons a legendary set of armor, making him the first in 1,000 years to wield it. The old man goes from furious to deeply respectful. Ye knows he needs the 2.0 expansion for this suit. Without that crucial upgrade, his body won't survive the armor's inner power, and he refuses to leave empty-handed. 7 days later, Yi-He is trying to rest when Chujo calls to say the director is ready to hand over his reward for the county mission. But our hero looks like an actual zombie, completely drained from his brutal dragon armor training. Heading to the academy's grand tower, Secretary Nua greets Ye-He. He instantly senses a bizarre energy radiating from her, but follows anyway. Noticing his analytical glare, the secretary decides to drop her human disguise. She is actually a high-tech cyborg sporting a biological human head to look approachable. Fascinated by the school's wild tech, Ye-He follows her to the top. Suddenly, his mind goes completely blank, and in the blink of an eye, he finds himself already sitting comfortably in the director's office chair. Director Shin pours him some tea, prompting Yi-He to ask about the insane time manipulation technique he just experienced. Shin confirms his powers, explaining how he saved Yaking during that chaotic duel. While looking over his level 5 mission rewards, Ye-He states he only cares about accessing the classified Prometheus files. Surprisingly, the director immediately agrees, making him highly suspicious. Shin leads Ye-He to a secure chamber containing half of a massive, glowing brain. He explains this organ powers Nua's artificial intelligence, salvaged from the old Prometheus project. Ye-He is completely stunned to learn. This brain belongs to the very first live-captured demon. Shin has Nua copy the classified files onto a portable drive, essentially granting Ye-He a genius personal assistant. This whole transaction is so ridiculously easy that our hero smells a massive conspiracy. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the academy, a student named Xiang is meditating to boost his power, convinced he is the strongest fighter in the entire school. Walking out, he bumps straight into Yi-He and immediately demands his surrender. Keeping it cool, Yi-He calmly explains he is only here to use the training chamber. Flexing his aura to intimidate him, Xiang gets annoying. Losing patience, Yi delivers a single, crushing blow, wanting nothing more than to train in peace. Inside the training room, Yi-He consumes his hoarded cores, extremely pleased with how easy Nua makes his academy life. With Nua boosting his cultivation shield, he swallows the pills. And trust me, you and I are about to see him reach a whole new level. Alright, you and I are about to witness the ultimate showdown as a massive war begins and the King of Monsters is finally unleashed. An army of warriors gathers under the director, who watches the massive force from above. With a fierce war cry from their leader, the soldiers ignite the cosmos within themselves, sending their martial chi skyrocketing to the heavens while a legendary speech fires up their very souls for the coming battle. Meanwhile, far away, he was wrapping up his massive transformation, just like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. Over at Laser Bird, Supervisor Yu Yan broods over their past failures. She sees this massive reconquest as the perfect stage to unleash her true power, especially with the main divisions completely distracted by the mission. Her scheme? Release a bioengineered beast carrying a golden gene, designed specifically to track down a highly valuable, lost treasure. She unlocks a heavily reinforced door, revealing a high-tech pod containing the freakish abomination. Soon after, a transport plane carrying this monster is soaring towards Xiang, led by a ruthless captain tasked with locating that missing golden gene at any cost. Suddenly, the aircraft spirals out of control as the captain reveals his true colors, brutally wiping out his own crew in cold blood. Inside its dark capsule, the beast catches the scent of blood. This traitorous captain, secretly working for Bayan, feeds the monster the hearts of elite Grandmaster warriors. Treating it like a hungry pet, he realizes the monster's appetite is bottomless. With his original mission abandoned, the captain unleashes the beast, ordering it to bring absolute destruction to Xia. Parachuting away from the plane, he leaves the creature to finish its grim feast. The containment pod violently shatters, and the newly freed, bloodthirsty monster immediately begins eating every single thing in sight. Meanwhile, heavy bombings rock Xiang. Another winged monster tries to intercept the plane, but our devouring beast lunges forward without hesitation, tearing it to shreds in a matter of seconds. By consuming its prey, the beast sprouts massive wings and multiple glowing eyes, allowing it to see different genetic profiles, like a giant, delicious buffet waiting to be eaten. Now watch closely here. These warriors are rushing toward the crashed plane, fully trusting the fierce, red-haired Lu to crush any threat. Instead, they find the nightmare beast feasting on other monsters like it is an all-you-can-eat buffet. Grinning at its new prey, the creature welcomes their challenge. Zhang strikes with everything he has, but his powerful blows do absolutely zero damage to its armored skin. To their absolute horror, they watch him get swallowed alive. Consumed by rage, Liu charges the beast, only to be blasted back by a move she recognizes as Zhang's own technique. Suddenly, her friend's pleading voice echoes from dark tentacles, twisting into a grotesque image of his agonizing face. She freezes in sheer terror, leaving her completely defenseless as the monster easily overpowers her. Using her body as a puppet, the devious creature infiltrates the remaining human ranks to sniff out the location of the golden gene. Elsewhere on the battlefield, a Lord-class beast faces an imposing spear-wielding warrior who effortlessly takes it down. Meet Chen Yanu, the high-ranking director of the prestigious Huadu Academy. He consults with student president Dai Chiming about the safest path to the sovereign beast's lair. Dai Chiming, however, advises against charging him blindly, suggesting they pause to analyze the situation first. During his brief focus, he envisions a massive egg slamming down like a meteor. As the terrifying sovereign beast emerges from the smoke, the director instantly commands his army to brace and get into formation. The director charges forward with his spear, but the titan counters with a devastating punch. Suddenly, a spectral mage zips in like a genie, piercing the beast's arm to open up a perfect window of opportunity. Catching onto their tactics, the monster targets the vulnerable elder mage, but a heavily armored shield warrior leaps in to block the blow. A yin-yang master strikes next, completely binding the titan's movements. Seizing their chance, our heroes drag the beast into a pocket dimension, unleashing a coordinated strike that completely obliterates its head. But think again, because this beast is a sovereign monster king. Just look at this insane transformation. It fires a massive blast, scattering our heroes like bowling pins. The director counters with a devastating lightning spear, but the beast, which now looks like a giant horned insect, tosses the shield user to a dragon like a dog treat. It grabs the director by the throat, mocking their efforts and boasting that they stand no chance against the sovereigns of Xiong. Over on the east side, an admiral monitors another horror that just reached sovereign class right in the middle of the city. Realizing the danger, he orders ground troops to retreat immediately, preparing to launch devastating nuclear warheads. Suddenly, a massive tentacle whips toward the command ship. They fire their magnetic cannon, shearing the limb in half, but it regenerates in the blink of an eye. With seconds ticking away, the officer fires the bunker-busting warheads, rocking the earth with massive explosions. He can only pray their surviving warriors manage to escape the blast zone in time. An agent confirms the monster's life signs have completely vanished. But that relief is brutally cut short when the beast rises from the smoke, completely unharmed, crushing all remaining hope. Suddenly, a critical siren blares as sensors detect an incoming intercontinental missile carrying a living human signature. Unbelievably, it is Yihei, surfing on top of the giant rocket with a fierce, locked-in expression. Just minutes earlier, our protagonist finished his epic evolution under Nua's watchful eye, getting outfitted with advanced nano armor sent directly from the legendary Qinglong. Realizing he is running late to the war zone, Yehi hitches a ride on the massive missile. As he closes the distance, he guides the rocket straight toward the beast and unleashes his powerful hidden domain. The sudden arrival of a Grand Master reignites the military's hope. Confronting the beast's true form, Yihei delivers a majestic celestial strike under the glow of the giant moon. Over on the other side, Wu Hong's shield and body are completely shattered. Yet, President Chen Yanu keeps fighting on, forcing the sovereign beast to trigger its third mutation. Refusing to back down, the president unleashes one final attack, but the monster casually blocks it. Impressed, the beast promises that once he dies, it will absorb his body to evolve him into a superior warrior. For the remaining survivors, the monster plans nothing but immediate, brutal execution. But suddenly, Wu Hong stands back up, transforming into a bizarre, alien creature mutated by forbidden, ancient demonic experiments. Sprouting thick, writhing tentacles, the former shield-bearer declares himself as the negative, stating his intention to completely consume the sovereign beast. He starts pummeling the alien, but his own hands get wrapped in dark tentacles that rapidly corrode his body. Realizing he is trapped, the monster is swallowed whole by the negative, who jokes about needing an antacid for the digestion. Taking the chance, the warriors grab Director Chen and flee, just as a blazing, comet-like energy tears through the sky and detonates right on the alien. Yehi is finally here to save the day. Unleashing a massive nuclear Hadouken, he drags the beast skyward before slamming it back down with an earth-shattering seismic toss that buries it deep. Yet, the beast crawls back out of the crater, revealing it has successfully integrated the powers of the sovereign insect it just ate. Yehi retaliates with a heavy kick, launching the beast crashing straight through a skyscraper. Still, the monster stands right back up, smugly asking if that was all he had. Grinning at its sheer confidence, Yehi delivers another devastating, nuclear-level blow that leaves the watching warriors completely awestruck, wondering who this godlike savior actually is. And that is where we leave it. This multiplying beast just targeted our main character's supreme gene and is transforming into an absolute colossal giant to devour him. You and I are going to want to see how this ends. Let us jump right into the action, where Ahi activates his dragon arm and unleashes a sea-parting punch. The direct hit forces the monster back into its humanoid form. It desperately blasts him with genetic energy, but Yehi emerges from the smoke unharmed, shielded by Zaza, and casually mocks the beast for not even seeing his true power yet. The beast strikes first. It unloads a barrage of stolen abilities from the creatures it has devoured, but Yehi tanks every single hit. Realizing they are at a total stalemate, the desperate creature actually proposes dividing up the entire planet so they can both survive. Yehi just scoffs, claiming he only needs 10 minutes to wipe this loudmouth trash off the map. The monster is completely baffled, wondering how on earth he could pull that off. Using that split-second hesitation, Yehi drags the monster straight into hyperspace to unleash his final strike safely. It is a brilliant move, especially since the weakened enemy has already burned through multiple of its host bodies. Plus, out here in deep space, the minds of all those consumed beasts stop responding, leaving the monster down to its very last life. In a final, desperate act of madness, the creature self-destructs to save its fragmented pieces. But Yehi counters by expanding his body, trapping every single drop of the monster's blood and crushing it completely. He compresses the remaining energy into a tiny orb and swallows it whole. Then, he channels the Lord of Flames, spiking his core temperature to stellar levels and imploding the monster inside himself. Back on Earth, Dai-Chiming coordinates with headquarters, analyzing the ongoing state of the war. He is incredibly grateful for the mysterious powerhouse who rescued them from total annihilation. While talking, he learns that their savior hails from Huwadu, which leaves him deeply curious since they have never crossed paths. Meanwhile, Yeho blazes back into the atmosphere like a comet, testing out his newly acquired negative power. By achieving the supreme vampire evolution, he can now shapeshift his refined body into absolutely anything. Feeling totally untouchable, Yehi soars over the city. Meanwhile, a commander from the Baton Nation tracks the massive energy trails left by Yehi as he breaches the sky. The Federation agents are in complete shock when their sensors detect that the massive blast zone still registers active life signs. Keep your eyes on the screen as Yeha, in his supreme form, casually flips the commander off while releasing a massive spike of raw, terrifying energy. Then Yehe instantly obliterates the foreign satellite spying on his homeland, realizing his godlike power can now envelope the entire globe. He projects his magnetic field across the globe to assess other ruins overrun by monsters. His senses stretch all the way to Guan City, where humanity was easily crushed by an S-rank kingdom. Over on Xiaoong Island, enslaved humans tend to a sickly beast king inside a grand palace. The monstrous ruler looks deeply troubled, wondering which human army is foolish enough to try and reclaim this territory. Meanwhile, on the western continent, locals witness an absolute miracle, as a man hovers above a sacred statue, apparently seeking atonement for his past sins. In a frozen, icy sea, an icebreaker rams forward. The captain, well aware of our hero's legendary name, curses a blue-haired man for stalling his recovery before heading back into the fray. With chaos everywhere, the protagonist senses someone watching him. Looking at the ruined world, he begins to suspect that Fu Hongshang, the ultimate warrior, might actually be turning his back on humanity. Yehi travels to Colin Peak, a zone famous for shutting down high-level powers and locking away secret realms. Finding zero traces of any recent battles, he decides to track down the legendary Fu Hong. With his combat models pushed to their absolute limits, his confidence is sky-high. He decides that if this world has no heroes left to save it, he will just become one. I know what you are thinking, but things get even stranger as he is struck by a blue beam, and a giant worm suddenly erupts from the ground. Our hero reacts in an instant, using a mental slash to slice the beast clean in half. From inside its sticky core, the doctor emerges, drenched in a disgusting slime that almost makes Yi-hee vomit right there. The doctor reveals he crawled inside the worm for safety because Laser Bird sent an incredibly dangerous beast to steal the coveted golden gene. Yi-hee calmly explains that he has already dealt with that beast, leaving the scientist completely dumbfounded by his power. The doctor then presents the golden gene to Yi-hee. Although he is dying to eat it, he holds back to avoid falling into a deep sleep. Appreciating the hard work, Yi-hee punches the doctor right in the chest, injecting powerful negative biomass to trigger an upgrade. Next, he sprouts a crystal carapace on his spine, rips it off, and hands it over to force the man's evolution. The doctor is so overwhelmed he actually bursts into tears. But Yi-hee has zero time for tears and tells him to get back to work while he handles clearing out the rest of the ruined city alone. With the Eastern ruler dead, human soldiers easily clean up the remaining beasts. The skirmish continues until their artificial intelligence, Manhwa, orders everyone to retreat and leave the area to Yi-hee, which they do instantly. But before they can exit, Yi-hee bursts onto the scene, deploying massive tentacles and activating a weapons system to utterly destroy the monsters. The soldiers stare in awe, witnessing a literal one-man army. Suddenly, Yi's weapons shut down from overheating. Seeing his chance, the commander orders his troops to cover him by firing a volley of high-tech missiles. The explosive impact is so intense that even the beasts are shocked by humanity's devastating military tech. Once Yi-hee's arsenal cools down, he rains absolute hell on the monsters again, but the gear overheats a second time. Spotting the failure, a three-headed wolf rallies its massive horde to charge forward. To make matters worse, radar picks up another massive wave of high-level beasts rapidly approaching their position. Seeing the danger, the soldiers turn back to support Yi-hee. But before they can join, his weapons pod unleashes a blinding flash of energy, completely wiping out every single monster and leaving nothing left to fight. Spreading his massive wings, Yi-hee flies into the sky, ready to conquer the world. Securing this city unlocks a brand new upgrade model, driving him to liberate every other region for maximum rewards. Humanity celebrates as 3 major cities are officially reclaimed from the beasts. However, when reports announce that director Chen Tianu saved the western city, Liu Qingju grows suspicious, recognizing the unique blue energy from that battle. Inside headquarters, the minister strictly orders his staff to keep Yi-hee's identity a total secret. Right on cue, Yi-hee walks into headquarters asking for a quick favor. The terrified minister treats him like a literal god, only for Yi-hee to simply request his student identification card. Though the minister views him as far superior to President Xin Jingwen, he still contacts the student council president to officially grant Yi-hee his new title. She walks over and formally thanks Yi-hee for saving the college, which actually makes our overpowered hero blush. Still, the awkward ceremony is worth it, as the title grants him massive evolution points. He unlocks a massive A-class beast called Hellstar, a titan capable of blocking out the sun itself. Yi-hee cannot wait to fuse this colossal power with Demora, and that is where we leave our heroes, as the war rages on with warriors struggling against a massive infestation of underground rodents in Qin City. Trust me, you will want to see what happens next. Alright, you and I are jumping right into a mess. 2 more cities were just reclaimed by the enemy. Their leader is furious, arguing they cannot hunt a sovereign in these cramped, narrow tunnels. But Yi-hee is fully prepared to retake it stealthily. He has to move, especially with 3 top leaders missing after Fu Hongsheng's ultimate betrayal. Yi-hee cannot understand why the traitor would destroy their own country, but he knows he is the only one who can stop him. To win, he needs to evolve to a whole new level, and reclaiming the city of Qin is the perfect place to start. Arriving at the city, Yi-hee finds it covered in a thick fog that hides the boss. Luckily, our hero has an ace up his sleeve, unleashing a specialized tracking power to hunt down his target. His energy tentacles flood the sewers, devouring the enemy's rat minions until the furious sovereign is forced to show his face. The monster mocks human arrogance for sending only 1 fighter, laughing as he vows to completely crush our hero. Ignoring the trash talk, Yi raises his hand to summon a massive vortex called Divine Punishment. The rat boss tries to flee, but Yi instantly locks him down with deadly energy tentacles. The devastating strike vaporizes the beast, but the leader's core remains intact. As Yi steps up to claim his prize, the core suddenly shatters into a swarm of tiny rats that scatter in all directions. Now, watch closely. Yi turns to Zaza, who completely freezes time, allowing our hero to easily spot the true core of the fleeing leader. The remaining pests fuse back together, creating a grotesque embryonic form that sucks in the rest. Reborn and absolutely terrified of Yi-hee, it flees toward the domain of Sin. It dives headfirst into the portal to escape home, lighting up the sky in a blinding purple glow that immediately draws the attention of nearby human warriors. When they arrive, the monsters are completely gone, leaving them wondering who could possess such terrifying power. The public is thrilled after 4 cities are reclaimed in a single week, but the higher-ups are stressed, completely clueless about who is saving them. Meanwhile, Yi heads to Bochang, a mysterious region shrouded in mystery. For this fight, he changes his appearance, taking on a demonic form and morphing his sword into a terrifying dark scythe. With this dark disguise, he intends to unleash the assassination techniques taught by his master, Gong Kei. As he enters a city where the locals are acting incredibly bizarre, Yi realizes the local boss is using massive illusions, explaining why the region seems so eerily quiet despite the war. Examining the citizens, he realizes they have all been turned into brainless zombies. Furious at this cruelty, he performs a ritual on a corpse to extract the identity of the monster behind this nightmare. The decaying spirit reveals the boss even murdered the city's chairman, warning him that only a Grandmaster-level fighter could ever hope to defeat their killer. With her soul finally at peace, Yi swears vengeance. He activates his magnetic detection field to locate the beast, but the city is so packed with zombies that it blocks his signal. So, he floods the entire city with his dark energy, locking down every zombie in his path until he spots a hidden mountain peak where the boss is hiding. Spotted, the outraged boss immediately commands his zombie army to swarm Yi, acting like our hero is the true monster here. A massive vortex rips open the sky, distracting the horde. Exploiting the chaos, Yi dives through the clouds and wipes them out in one go. Furious that his army was trashed, the boss lunges with a devastating blow, but Yi walks right through it. Yi counterattacks, but the monster's defense is insane, and he answers with a brutal punch straight to Yi's face. The strike shatters his mask, and the boss starts treating our hero like a literal punching bag, culminating in a heavy, gut-wrenching blow straight to his stomach. I know what you're thinking, but this pain is just a trap to drag the Sovereign into his killing intent dimension for a brutal scythe counterattack. Though battered, the boss now wants to possess Yi's body for himself. Yi swings again, but the beast blocks with his unbreakable gold bracer, sending our hero flying back. That only fires Yi up, who unleashes a relentless flurry of master-level sword strikes, tenderizing the giant beast's body like meat on a grill. Activating the Za Warudo technique, he traps the monster in an energy dome. With this, Yi steals its power, unlocking an incredible S-rank summon. This legendary alien tree beast has insane stats, making our hero as hyped as a kid unwrapping a brand new PlayStation 5. His excitement hits the roof when the system reveals that his 10-headed Gina can actually fuse with the Diora. Thanks to its golden core gene, this fusion could literally boost his power to infinity. Knowing this is his ticket to beating the traitor Fu Hongsheng, he triggers the fusion. Afterward, a zombie captive warns him about a terrifying emperor of all beasts who masters god-tier techniques. Yi panics when he learns this monster emperor is heading straight for Huadu, a city left totally defenseless while its top masters are away fighting. Meanwhile, at a hidden base in Nine Dragons River, human defenders possess technology to weaken incoming beasts from Tier B down to Tier D. Everyone is totally relaxed, enjoying a sunny barbecue. They are so incredibly careless that even old Xiao, the sentry on duty, deserts his post to grab some food, leaving them completely blind to approaching intruders. The ambush is led by one of the Monster Emperor's 4 generals. His objective? Slaughter the defenders and drain their life force, guided by a hit list provided by Fu Hongsheng. Their ultimate plan is to force humanity to kneel. In a flash, the beasts butcher the defenders in the secret realm. But as they push through the dimensional rift, a defensive barrier nearly severs one of the monster's feet. To bypass this high-tech defense, they use the corpses of weaker beasts as shields, successfully breaching through to Earth. Back at the Council of the 9 Families of Huadu, the elders gather to debate an urgent call for all master-class fighters to return. They have been deeply stressed about their missing elite fighters, assuming Fu Hongsheng is simply in isolated training to boost his strength. One elder is absolutely furious about these warriors focusing on personal growth instead of collective defense, prompting the council to wait and strategize the moment they return. Meanwhile, at Nine Dragons River, a massive dark wave erupts from the ocean, turning the water pitch black and killing the local sea life. Panicked citizens fear a new rift is opening right before a colossal monster emerges. With one effortless attack, he butchers the civilians like flies. Back at headquarters, agents watch in pure despair as a sovereign-level threat invades the capital. El Kuei's director, Wang Xing, orders an immediate evacuation while desperately praying for Fu Hongsheng's speedy return. 4 powerful masters step up to challenge the beast, who simply laughs at their sheer stupidity. He tells them to run, claiming he only hunts the truly elite, but the defenders are purely focused on buying time. And that's where we leave it, a desperate struggle ending in a single, effortless strike that completely changes the game. Alright, you and I are diving into a wild clash where fighter jets can't even scratch this robotic beast. But things finally heat up when elite martial artists from Lukwei arrive, and this monster is actually thrilled to fight them. But every single strike against the tyrant just ends in more bloodshed. Director Wong is literally shaking with every casualty report, absolutely furious that the other organizations are just leaving them to die. Desperate, he activates the ultimate emergency protocol, the Special Registry Combat Power. His agents try to stop him, but there is no turning back. 3 terrifying warriors are unleashed onto the battlefield. Yet, the monster completely ignores them, focused instead on the massive martial power radiating from the City of Clouds. Even so, one mummy-like warrior is absolutely itching to clash with the Sovereign again. Just like their legendary battles of the past, the beast summons its ultimate power, sprouting creepy heads on its arms as the trio gets ready. Then, the Sovereign lunges with a devastating strike, screaming a bizarre battle cry Mahakala before crashing into them. The monster complains to its arm heads, wishing the mysterious warrior hiding in the City of Clouds would put up a better fight than this pathetic trio. One giant, bulging-eyed head on his arm is practically drooling to start the total destruction. Another head with fish eyes screams that resistance is utterly futile. Soldiers rain heavy missiles down in response, but it doesn't even slow the beast down. Suddenly, the Sovereign loses track of its target in the clouds. But pay attention here, that is when Master Gon arrives, blitzing the beast with lightning-fast, lethal sword slashes. The monster counters with a toxic corrosion wind strike, making Gon realize this fight is no joke. Even with their heads chopped off, the creature is thrilled to face a worthy opponent. Accepting the challenge, Gon immediately strikes back, dragging the giant Sovereign straight into her deadly dimension of murderous intent. Even trapped inside her domain, the monster swings wildly, but she teleports right behind him. She unleashes a brutal blood-rending slash, trapping the giant in massive, suffocating blood bubbles. She calmly watches as her energy lines act like a meat grinder, shredding the beast so fast that its insane healing factor cannot even keep up. Even shredded, the beast respects her power. But suddenly, it feels incredibly heavy as a horde of grotesque zombies begin crawling all over its body. But this evolved monster easily sees through the illusion. Gon has no time to waste, and neither does her enemy, who's already healed up and preparing another devastating Mahakala blast. Unfazed, Gon pulls out her phone to record the fight for Yihei. Talk about flex. Then she unleashes her guillotine of millions, binding the beast in heavy, inescapable chains. Suddenly, Gon realizes her own body is starting to vanish from the enemy's decay. Luckily, her massive guillotine drops just in time, breaking the spell and saving her life. The beast fully heals, admitting this girl is way tougher than Fu Hongshang ever was. Suddenly, it begins to undergo another terrifying mutation. Gon senses the mortal danger and realizes she might actually die here. To cope, she jokingly imagines the glorious funeral honors and statues they will build for her. But staring down that massive blade, she decides she has way too much to live for. She pours every ounce of her power into a desperate strike, just as she senses a legendary presence arriving to change the game. Back at Longay headquarters, panic rises as a massive vortex swallows the entire City of Clouds. But inside that storm, a mysterious masked man stands calmly before the terrifying beast. Now you and I know our hero loves a dramatic entrance. When the Sovereign demands his name, he just replies, "Monster," leaving everyone completely baffled. The giant charges, but gets blasted right in the face by a literal nuclear explosion. Under the mask, our main character, Yihei, is just casually testing out his 10-headed Gina. The Sovereign is thrilled to face such a monster and goes all out. But with his Gina eyes active, Yihei sees every single attack coming in super slow motion. Wanting to test his new S-rank model, Yihei summons multiple refined cell clones to surround the beast, and each clone possesses the exact same insane power as the original. The Sovereign freezes in terror as Yihei activates Zawarudo. Seizing the perfect moment, our hero unleashes a devastating combination of nuclear strikes directly on him. The blinding energy explosion is so massive it looks like a second sun in the sky. Once the clones dissolve, the scorching heat slowly fades back to normal. The Eloquent director is left speechless, wondering how Yihei got this strong. Meanwhile, our hero praises the beast's insane durability for actually surviving that blast. The Sovereign tries to regenerate using his demonic sphere, but Yihei finds his arrogance hilarious. He grabs the beast by the ear, drags him away from the city, and promises to show him how to create a third sun. Feeling his overwhelming power, the beast begs Yihei to discard his humanity and serve the Emperor, promising him the 5th spot in their elite hierarchy within a few decades. Yihei laughs at the offer, finding the idea of waiting decades to be top 5 insulting. He smashes the giant into a mountain, revealing he stopped being human ages ago. Standing outside the city, our hero unleashes the full, terrifying power of his Demora. The sovereign has never felt anything like this, realizing Yihei is a threat to the emperor who must be destroyed at all costs. Their legendary powers collide. The sovereign manages to land on his feet, but steps directly into something incredibly slimy. Yihei explains it is a special sap born from his gene of fusion. The sticky substance instantly wraps around the giant, absorbing him until he becomes a loyal servant obeying Yihei's every word. His submission is absolute, behaving like a loyal puppy chasing a ball. Meanwhile, rumors spread across the region about a mysterious, masked powerhouse hunting down sovereigns. The director hopes this savior is here to rescue humanity, but his assistant shares a chilling update. Their data shows this guy only cares about hunting down every last sovereign. Just then, Gon Video calls the director, revealing that the mysterious hunter belongs to an organization called Monstro, operating under the ominous codename Demonic Eye. The news is so terrifying it practically makes the bald director's hair stand on end. As he struggles to understand their motives, a massive glowing object suddenly materializes over the city. Experts identify the beast as the Sovereign Ashura, but its energy feels totally warped. Then, they spot Yihei casually sitting on its giant shoulder, leaving the director horrified that humanity's survival depends on this mysterious kid. Meanwhile, reports of the devastating assault on the capital spread rapidly. The student council president confirms that several high-level warriors were wiped out there, proving the entire world is in grave danger. Meanwhile, far away on Liuli Island, the head of the Kai family awaits a landing aircraft. A sheriff-like man steps off the plane, arriving from overseas to seal a secret deal. Meanwhile, Yihei officially names his newly captured monster Hook, marking Monstro's very first recruit. And as chaos consumes the world, you and I are about to watch him build a monstrous secret army, starting by camouflaging his giant robot. Later, Yihei finds himself staring at a random tree until it suddenly blinks back at him. Shocked by the living plant, he goes to throw a punch, only to find the mad scientist hiding inside. You and I are jumping right back into the action where the doctor reveals he made this whole biotech forest, making Yihei proud. Then, he shows off a massive base built in under a month. And yeah, he was seriously blown away by how incredibly fast this scientist got things done. He found out that to secure his funding, the doctor used his healing powers to extort dying billionaires, while turning powerful elites into vampires to support the monster organization. Yehai gave him the green light to keep going, but with one condition: no brutal torture like Laserbird used. The doctor then revealed a secret lab filled with scientists from Laser and Prometheus, all turned into mindless puppets to speed up their research. Yehai realized the doctor's robotic body was just a puppet controlled by a proxy. His real form was a living brain hooked up to life support, completely bypassing the need for a physical body. Our hero couldn't help but think the doc and the AI Na would actually make a pretty cute couple. Next, Yeha introduced Hook to the doctor, strictly banning any wild experiments on the giant. Then, he was shown a massive aquarium housing the artificial Demora, a terrifying fish capable of generating nuclear energy. Feeling satisfied with everything, Yehi agreed to hand over a sample of his legendary YH cells for further testing. Bowing in deep gratitude, the doctor accepted. With that done, our protagonist decided to head back to Huaidu. Reclaiming SIA was an epic success, but the city was now under a strict new order, complete with curfews and food rations. Yi felt the vibe had changed, even though the city bounced back incredibly fast from the battle. Now pay attention to this next part. He has Nua drive him to the Longue headquarters for his first day as an intern, only to find the lobby completely empty before a grumpy agent named Linju greets him. She pointed him to his desk, and when he asked if she was working alone, she sighed. After taking massive losses in the war and with others guarding the borders, she was entirely drowned in endless paperwork. To cheer up his grumpy coworker, Yehi secretly slipped one of his brain activation wormlings into her tea, knowing it worked way better than any standard energy powder. Just as she enjoyed her tea, an emergency call came and reporting local riots. This instantly annoyed her, since she was just about to head out for a nice meal. Seizing the chance to prove himself, Yehi volunteered to go. Lin hesitated to send a rookie intern on a dangerous call, but he promised she could put her trust in him. Out of nowhere, the veteran agent caught a mouth-watering scent as a spectacular banquet materialized right before her eyes. Even though she knew it was a pure illusion, she happily played along. Yi joked that he only used her exhaustion to make his magic work, but Lin quickly pointed out that elite agents are specifically trained to resist mental attacks like this. Still, she confessed that his illusion skills were so high tier, no Shwana warrior could stand against them. She warned him to stay sharp out there, since she would not take the blame if he got hurt. Before she could finish her sentence, Yehei dashed off, but left an energy drink and a sweet note to help her recharge. A wholesome little move that she secretly found pretty adorable. The border was absolute chaos. Disguised as Muhammad, Yeha rode a crowded bus, using his inner energy techniques just to block out the horrific stench filling the vehicle. News reports claimed special forces eliminated the local rebels, but seeing the grim reality, Yehi decided to move in secret and pull this evil out by its very roots. Suddenly, a van blocked the road and two thugs stormed the bus to rob everyone. Terrified passengers rushed to the back, leaving Yehi crammed in the middle like a sardine in a tiny can. As one thug barked orders for cooperation, two massive, intimidating tattoo artists climbed onto the bus right behind them. Now, if you are like me, you probably recognize that heart tattoo, and so did Yehi. When the leader ordered everyone to get it inked on their chest, Yehi knew this gang was stepping way over the line. Just then, a brave old passenger stood up to confront the thugs, prompting one of the brutal criminals to draw a blade to teach him a merciless lesson. But when he lunged, his knife mysteriously deflected, slicing his own leader's arm instead. The boss glared with pure fury, demanding to know if his subordinate was trying to stage a coup. Stammering in panic, the thugs swore the blade moved by itself, but the furious boss wasn't buying it. He ordered his giant tattoo artist to execute the accidental traitor on the spot. To absolute shock, this scrawny underling somehow beat down both of the massive guards. Furious, the boss ordered the rest of his gang to flood the bus and take him down. Passengers watched in complete shock as every thug who boarded got launched right back out. Yet, even after wiping out the entire gang, the terrified underling insisted he was innocent. Out of nowhere, he grabbed his boss, dragged him kicking and screaming into their van, and sped off, leaving the entire bus completely stunned by the bizarre turn of events. The getaway van sped away with the driver staring blankly like a literal zombie. The gang leader realized his man was being mind-controlled and instantly tried to act obedient, asking Yi-Hee what he wanted. Sitting calmly like a Zen master, Yi-Hee demanded answers about their gang. The leader froze, knowing one wrong word in front of this monster would lead to a very painful end. Meanwhile, the van hurtled straight toward a cliff. Seeing right through the leader's pathetic lies, Yehi decided to end things, unleashing his dark tentacles. The thug begged for mercy, but Yehi calmly reminded him he was no hero, letting his shadow tentacles completely consume them. With the trash cleared out, he transformed the rusty van into a high-tech supercar run by his AI companion, Nua. He might not be Batman, but he definitely had a Batmobile now. He ordered the AI to drive to Chen City and forge a new identity for him, a flashy, filthy rich playboy. The sleek supercar sped off, taking the fastest route possible. Meanwhile, at the Arrowed Heart Gang headquarters, elite members of the Bloodthorns were plotting their next terror attack. They had to be careful, though, as Long Kui had heavily locked down the entire district. But one high-ranking woman in the group insisted this chaos was the perfect time to strike. She pointed out that young Master Yi, a super-rich playboy, held massive sway in elite circles, and they could easily bleed him dry. Still, another member worried it might be an elaborate trap, but the woman argued they had to take the gamble. Hearing this, the boss agreed to head to Chen City to meet this playboy, unaware that Yi-Ho already had their complete criminal profiles in hand. When his helper mentioned the trio requested an audience, he smiled and approved it, knowing they were basically delivering themselves to their own graves. The Bloodthorns team arrived in the city, but their blonde member felt a creepy, intense gaze watching them. The locals also seemed unsettlingly quiet. Suddenly, their driver slammed on the brakes, and they immediately decided to turn back. You and I both know those quiet locals were actually zombies watching their meals escape. Just then, the blonde shocked her crew, revealing she just saw a vision of all of them dying. Her companions got pissed, demanding to know why she kept that quiet, arguing they never would have come if she had warned them sooner. But she calmed them down, explaining her vision of their doom took place in a deep forest, while they were currently in a concrete city. All right, you and I are diving right into the action, where a tiny red flower sprouts from the ceiling one of Yi-Hee's clone cells. Instantly, he summons a massive forest to trap the terrorists. Yi-Hee declares himself the absolute master of her destiny, matching her terrifying premonition perfectly. Nearby, she watches her dreadlocked ally beg for help from the burning wreckage, while their other companion is already dead. The cold blonde simply tells him that fate is inescapable. A second later, boom. The car explodes, consuming him in flames. She closes her eyes, ready for the end. But as blood drips from Yi-Hee's finger, he makes an offer she can live, but only if she surrenders her soul and body to him completely. Drinking the blood directly from his finger, she becomes his loyal servant. But her greed backfires, and she begins writhing in agony as dark scales like Yihee's armor erupt across her skin. Yihee uses their connection to raid her mind, learning about the Bloodthorn group and their leader, who is hiding deep underwater in a secure submarine. The blonde bows in submission, and Yihee summons 15 of his clones to help her wipe out the remaining terrorist forces. Within a single month, the rebellions are completely crushed, and the local crime rate plummets to almost zero. Only the police know about this mysterious shadow warrior hunting criminals, secretly passing his classified files up to the military. Meanwhile, Yihee flies over the open ocean, but his magnetic senses detect nothing yet. Still, he knows finding his target is only a matter of time. He releases the massive Diora beast into the deep, hunting the waters with gamma cell signals. Soon, he locks onto his target, a stealth ship gliding through the dark abyss, as their radar detects a massive threat. The desperate captain orders sonic waves to scare the beast off, but it fails completely. The officer panics, warning that the massive intruder will reach them in under 5 minutes. They fire powerful trident torpedoes right at Diora, but the explosive impacts do absolutely nothing to slow the giant down. Now pay close attention here. The monster slams into the sub, shredding the hull, and though the captain fires everything he has left, absolutely nothing can stop Demora from completely wiping out the crew. That is when Garrett, the furious S-rank leader of Bloodthorn, steps up to fight. He is absolutely livid seeing his entire legacy ruined by some demonic sea beast. He hurls a highly explosive nuclear battery at Demora, who casually gulps it down. Garrett grins, eagerly waiting for the giant beast to blow to pieces. But when the bomb detonates deep inside its stomach, the monster simply lets out a loud burp and asks if anyone has an antacid. Garrett is completely speechless. Then, the beast counterattacks, blasting him with a devastating sonic wave. The stubborn S-rank master refuses to die, sprouting sharp tentacles from his back. But Demora sprays a thick gas right in his face, freezing him in place like sticky glue. Within seconds, Garrett is swallowed by atomic energy bubbles that detonate and violently snuff out his final hope of survival. With the battle won, Diora glides toward the southeast triangle to find Yihee. Meanwhile, over in the nation of Fae, a guard scanning the horizon with his binoculars spots something bizarre in the distance. It looks like a massive island speeding right toward them. Terror instantly grips the guards as they realize this is actually a monstrous sea beast. A defense boat rushes in to help, but Demora fires a cosmic nuclear blast that vaporizes the ship instantly, sending a massive tidal wave crashing right over the command tower. Back at military headquarters, sirens blare for a sovereign-tier beast. The desperate general orders every single bomb and missile launched before the monster can make landfall. But suddenly, the massive beast completely vanishes from their radar, leaving the high-ranking officers totally baffled. Demora easily slips past their defense lines, bent on pure destruction as it tears the entire naval fleet to shreds. One terrified captain watches the beast close in right before his ship sinks to the bottom. Within minutes, the entire fleet is wiped out, and the devastating invasion of Fae and nearby territories becomes official. And yeah, I know what you were thinking. Surely Nidonia's strongest hero can stop this, right? Well, think again. He gets absolutely crushed as Demora storms forward, forcing a corrupt local president to flee in panic on his private plane. But a tiny piece of Yihee is clinging right to the window, calling himself Supreme Leader Y. This fragment slips through the cracks, terrifying everyone on board. An agent tries to fight back with a powered punch, but is instantly skewered by one of Yihee's sharp tentacles. Then, deadly spikes impale the rest of the crew, leaving 0 survivors. Meanwhile, in Nan, Demora continues its terrifying rampage, reducing entire cities to ash. Yihee basks in his power, feeling like a god after this massacre. But watching from afar is Pavel Adu, a powerful Western ice warlock. He loves turning defeated monsters into frozen trophies, and bagging Demora is now a matter of pride. Plus, delivering this beast to the center of Zaya promises a massive bounty. Legends speak of a wicked witch born in the West every few generations. She supposedly caused the fall of Atlantis, the destruction of Pompeii, and the plague that wiped out half of Europe. This sparked a massive witch hunt by the Holy Knights, though in the 21st century, the witch has yet to show her face. That is because she is Pavel's conjoined twin hiding right beneath his heavy robes. Demora spots the flying warlock as he charges in, leaving a trail of pure frost. The beast shoots a blast of nuclear energy, but Pavel conjures an ice mirror to reflect it. The attack hits its own reflection, triggering a massive explosion. Yihee is intrigued by this Western magic and eagerly launches another heavy strike. But the warlock instantly vanishes, teleporting behind Demora to impale him with massive, freezing stalactites. The attack barely scratches the beast, prompting a furious counterattack, but the warlock quickly teleports away to safety. Yi finds it weird that his opponent keeps running, realizing it is a trap, so he decides to play along and pretend he is falling for it. But arriving in Zaya, Pavel is surprised to see the monster slowing down. He shoots a volley of ice arrows, but the beast does not even flinch to defend itself. Pavel figures the beast has entered a deep hibernation to recover its strength. Thinking it is vulnerable, he steps closer, eager to claim his frozen prize. Instantly, Yi unleashes his full power, but the warlock teleports away. But a follow-up strike lands perfectly, proving the monster was only faking its sleep. Now fully serious, Yi unleashes his raw power and slams his opponent hard into the dirt. Pavel stands up, furious, but Yi is already behind him, whispering that he knows about the secret girl under his robes. The warlock is completely shocked. Knowing his sister's secret is out, Yi declares it is time to end this, ordering Demora to strike. But Pavel, a dark magic master, summons a magic circle to freeze the beast solid. Fueled by his sister's infinite mana, Pavel freezes Demora solid in seconds, and we are left watching him admire this icy masterpiece. What a wild ride. We'll see you in the next one. Alright, you and I are about to dive into an epic magical showdown as these gold-glowing plants smash right through the ice. Our warlock simply cannot believe his magic is actually failing him. Pave thought this whole fight was a complete joke. Shamed as a kid for sharing his life with his sister, he refused to lose again, summoning a massive, raging tornado straight at Demora. Yehei does not care one bit. He immediately activates Supreme Leader mode to launch a barrage of crazy, simultaneous spells. As the cyclone closes in, the beast answers with pure fire, a torrent of flame that swallows the entire battlefield in a flash. The absolute blazing heat melts the ice wizard almost instantly, making him completely miss the giant hand lunging for him. He barely escapes being crushed to death by a hair, slipping into the thick clouds to quickly recharge his energy for one final, devastating strike. But his piece is cut short when giant fingers tear through the mist, revealing Yehei riding right on top of his monster's head. The clash of elements rages on, but the wizard decides to run, finally realizing he is absolutely no match for the ultimate ruler of the monsters. Yehei throws a massive bolt of lightning, which the wizard dodges while mocking his bad aim. But those dark clouds above Pavel's head are perfect for Yi, who summons a deafening, sky-splitting thunderclap. Pavel only sees a blinding flash of white. The brutal electric shock completely shuts down his teleportation, and a massive spear of lightning pierces right through him, leaving him frying in agony. Riding his colossal beast, Ye watches the bodies of the wizard and his sister get impaled on ice. But right at that very moment, the true witch finally wakes up. Meanwhile, far away in the Belton Federation, Director Adler gets word of Pavel fighting this masked threat. He is absolutely furious because the wizard was supposed to be fighting the CIA. Back at the fight, the thick clouds begin to clear, exposing the wizard's brutal beating to the entire nation. Seizing the moment, Yehei orders his giant Pangu monster to deliver the final strike. But don't blink, because right here, a mysterious hand shatters the ice and effortlessly blocks the attack. The real witch has finally awakened. Suddenly, she unleashes an icy aura so intense it freezes the colossal Pangu. Yehei instantly realizes this woman is way stronger than Chujo, as his massive beast literally crumbles into mountain rocks. Watching from afar, Director Adler is completely stunned to see the legendary witch of the century awake, plunging the world into a ridiculous deep freeze. Fearing a new global ice age, the director actually considers launching their secret orbital space weapon. But his agent reports that Yehei has already pinned her down, trapping the witch in his massive grip of tentacles. Even so, she tears free effortlessly, splitting her own body into pieces and putting herself back together like it is absolutely nothing. Yeho is shocked to see her turn into pure, raw energy. He decides to literally eat her, unleashing his celestial web of tentacles to quickly trap this monstrous abomination. The capture is so incredibly easy that Yehei actually licks his lips like he is staring at a delicious meal, while the witch screams in agony from inside his trap. He realizes that while she has raw strength, she lacks intelligence. But suddenly, she uses ice to copy the giant form of Pangu. Fortunately, Yihi has an endless arsenal encounters with the 1,000-hand solar disc technique. Watching this insane clash, the director demands to know who this mystery fighter actually is. The automated security system pulls up files from his crazy battle against the three-headed beast in Hoadu, leaving the director highly intrigued by this demonic eye code name. Meanwhile, the giant battle keeps raging, with the ice Pangu even losing one of its horns. Still, the witch keeps throwing massive spells, acting like a totally spoiled child. Yehei summons the blazing form of Zhuang and sends a massive fire dragon, but she blocks it with ice spears. That is all he needs, charging straight at her. But the moment he gets close, everything freezes solid. Now I know what you're thinking, but yes, he actually consumes her entire essence to tame her power. One way or another, she is going under his command. He then blows up the spy satellites tracking the fight, finally securing the entire southeastern region of Korea. Using his massive cloud-stirring technique, he completely hides his form until his integration with the witch is done. Meanwhile, the Longue director gets shocking news about a rebellion against the CIA. While he relies on global allies, he is far happier to have Demora fighting on their side. Even so, he is deeply worried about this mysterious monster group and the sudden defeat of the 21st century witch. It all points to a very dark and unpredictable future. For successfully capturing the powerful witch, Yi receives a legendary tier item. He prepares to return home, staring down at the completely wiped-out enemy population, knowing he had to do this for the good of Southeast Asia. He is now the ultimate protector of the world, but also its most ruthless, blood-soaked tyrant. Accepting this dark fate, Yi carries the heavy weight of those thousands of dead souls. Now it is time to deal with the 9 elite families of Huadu and send those ancient mummies straight back to their graves. With the region finally secured, colleges reopen and everyday civilians can breathe easy once again. Students head back to class, but the only thing anyone is talking about is that masked hero and Demora. Viral photos of Yehei's epic monsters are even being traded like collectible cards. While students gossip about the masked hero being secretly among them, the crowd bows as Yi walks into the Dragon's Blood building. He actually greets them back, leaving the kids totally shell-shocked. But our main character has only one real mission in mind, destroying the 9 elite families of Huadu to find his old buddy, Chujo. Meanwhile, Chujo is meditating in the training room to build his energy when Yuang suddenly interrupts with news. The boy smiles, hoping it is Yi, but the vice president reveals it is actually a far more famous visitor. Chujo goes to meet Chu Fangqi, the wealthy heir of a powerful Huadu family and Chujo's own half-brother. Chujo immediately points out that his family cowardly hid during the entire war. The rich heir doesn't deny it, claiming it was strategic since the country was weak. He insists it is time for the 9 great families to step up and take total control again. Chujo has absolutely no time for this nonsense, but Funky still extends a hand, offering the boy a powerful new alliance. Chujo immediately spits on the offer, declaring that his name does not belong to the elite Huadu bloodline. Funky expected this rejection, but brings up the massive glory of Dragon's Blood, asking if Chujo wants to become the association's president and lead the students. The boy freezes for a moment, but then simply walks away, completely ignoring the rich playboy who continues to yell after him. Chujo knows that deep down he would never stand a single chance against Yehi, the current president of the association. Furious at being rejected, Chu Funky unleashes a terrifying, insane power. The raw pressure of his aura is so massive that it actually makes Chujo stumble, as the rich kid demands he accept this one final chance to gain ultimate strength. And that's where we leave it. This journey is just getting started. Alright, you and I are diving right into a sinister monster and a masked figure showing up before Chujo. He knew this warrior wiped out several sovereigns, so why was he here in Huadu? Suddenly, the demonic-eyed creature invited him to join them. Skeptical, Chujo asked why a sovereign even cared about him. The demonic eye simply replied that the boy's monstrous destiny was exactly what their organization needed. Thinking it over, the young man asked if Yi was also in the group. Once the masked man confirmed it, Chujo instantly agreed to join. The sovereign promised to meet him tonight and offered to help with his current problem, blasting a beam into Chujo's body that instantly boosted his martial intelligence. Back in reality, Chu Funky felt the boy's bloodline evolve, but he was not scared and pumped up his own martial level. As they clashed, the playboy kept trying to convince Chujo to join his side, but the boy refused, calling them cowards who abandoned Huadu when the city needed them most. Suddenly, Yuang threw the door open, revealing Yi standing there, calmly watching their fight unfold. Funky laughed at Chujo, bragging he could take down the entire association alone. But in a split second, Yi grabbed his throat and shut him up. Chu Funky channeled energy into his hands, desperately trying to break Yi's grip as he was held midair, but it didn't even faze him. The eldest son of the Chu family widened his eyes in sheer disbelief. Yi simply smiled, coldly stating that now it was his turn to attack. Wong panicked since Funky was a VIP guest, but Yi ignored him and threw the guy right through the window. Meanwhile, Chujo realized that from this moment on, he was going to become a real monster. Suddenly, the tension melted as the two friends hugged. As they left to catch up, you and I have to feel for poor Yuang, who was left completely clueless on how to explain this to the Chu family. During their talk, Yi explained his secret personalities, but Chujo was far more interested in finding out exactly when he had joined this mysterious monster organization. Yi He told him the demonic eye recruited him right after that mission in Lynch County. He conveniently hid the fact that he actually saved everyone's life, lying that the organization's extra training was what made him so incredibly strong. When Chujo asked how many masters were at his level, Yi He casually claimed there were about 5 others just like him. This made Chujo worry they might try to invade Xia. But Yi calmed him down, promising everything was completely under control as long as they followed the demonic eye's instructions. After saying goodbye, Chujo left the office still feeling uneasy. Alone again, Yi He grew quiet, knowing he would never harm his friend, even though the upcoming plan absolutely required his help. The real issue was that the 9 families held massive influence over the emperors. Yi He dug into secret historical documents and found something shocking. Back during his mission with the demon barrows, he had already realized that pure faith was the ultimate source of energy. These files showed that since the first dynasty of Xia, ancient mages built technologies to harvest a force called Dragon Qi, binding the royal family to the fate of the empire itself. This meant if any royal family faced disaster, they could manipulate this energy to trigger massive natural catastrophes across Xia. Because of this, wiping out the 9 families was far too dangerous for innocent people. The only real solution was to steal the Dragon Qi that gave them all their power. The secret method was clear. Every 70 years, the families chose one of their own to become the guardian of the Qi. This poor soul was chained and isolated as a living vessel. Now, pay attention here, because Yi He had to transfer this stolen energy directly into Chujo, who carried royal blood. Even though the method was incredibly cruel, Yi He swore to find a way to save his friend once the process was complete. With his dark plan set, he approached Chujo as the demonic eye, initiating a painful baptism ritual to awaken his powers. Screaming in agony, Chujo clutched his burning eyes. The demonic eye explained that this painful energy would let him see the world in a completely new way, gifting him an exclusive vision technique. Overwhelmed, Chujo thanked his new master. Little did anyone know, this entire cosmic upgrade was happening right inside his quiet bedroom. Yi He ordered his disciple to wash the blood from his eyes using moisture from the air. As the technique fused with Chujo's eyes, Yi He flooded him with energy to glimpse the spiritual world, strengthening his physical body with his own YH cells. With a reinforced body, Chujo would finally be tough enough to hold the stolen Dragon Qi, which was crucial to making this mission succeed. Next, Yi He visited his master, Gong, who was absolutely furious that he had vanished without a trace. But using his smooth charm and a special gift, he easily managed to win back her favor. When she asked what he wanted, Yi got straight to the point. He needed the second half of the legendary Bodhi scripture of the murderous heart. She was stunned to realize her student had already transcended the Grandmaster level. Proud of his genius, she put on her glasses to help him decipher the ancient texts. Meanwhile, Yi He's demonic eye clone was pushing Chujo through brutal training. The young man focused, his pupils dilating wildly as his vision unlocked, letting him see the invisible strings of causality. Viewing reality through causality made Chujo incredibly sharp, giving him the supreme confidence that he could destroy his former self in just 3 short minutes. But his master explained that this eye power was even crazier, allowing him to cast illusions and summon massive divine entities. Suddenly, Chujo's eyes burned fiercely. His master explained that he would have to train insanely hard to control this deadly vision. Hours passed, and though Chujo was utterly exhausted, he absolutely refused to give up. Handing him a small box, the master reminded him that true strength takes time. Chujo opened it only to leap back in pure shock as a friendly little slime popped out to greet him. Yi He reassured him, introducing the creature as his close friend. Af. Chujo remarked that the slime actually behaved just like Yi He. As the cute slime snuggled against him, Chujo felt his life force surge instantly. Seeing this, the demonic eye ordered him back to training. Meanwhile, over in the imperial capital of Gunnan, the powerful elders were absolutely furious about the disrespect Chu Funky had suffered. Their rage boiled over because the head of the Dragon's Blood Association openly admitted to humiliating their young heir, leaving the leadership shocked that he had lost to a freshman. They knew that both the association and Huari were sending a clear message of defiance against the 9 families. One of the hot-headed elders immediately demanded they go to war, but another quickly shut him down, arguing that starting a conflict would completely turn the citizens against them. But the angry elder refused to back down, making the room incredibly tense until the clan patriarch, Chu Hong Tang, stepped in to silence them. He announced their top priority was the Dragon Qi ceremony happening in 2 months. This decision made the red-bearded elder boil with silent, murderous rage, vowing to kill him. Outside the walls, Af felt frustrated since only those with royal blood could enter. After a quick mental scolding from Yi He, he planned to infiltrate the elite's favorite hangout, the Golden Horse Club, a wild place packed with gorgeous, lively people. Inside the club's private office, the manager was busy lecturing an employee until Yi suddenly walked in, asking for a quick word. She almost fell out of her chair in shock, but he easily fooled her, demanding their VIP guest list along with dirty secrets on every single one of them. You and I are going to love this. All right, you and I are diving into the action as Master Liu struts into the hall, oozing arrogance yet somehow getting total respect. But the local family heirs are definitely not thrilled about these fancy nobles from Helwedu showing up. Liu smugly takes a VIP seat, asking what this place has to offer, and an employee eagerly tells him they have the finest women. The noble then asks if the city's top fighter is actually a woman. Sucking up to him, the worker explains she belongs to Longquay, so they make sure to stay far away from that dangerous group. This news completely ticks Liu off, furious that the people of Gun still have not chosen a side to support. Out of nowhere, Liu shatters a bottle over the worker's head, shouting that Xiaohua belongs to royalty, not Longquay. He then struts off, completely looking down on the city. But his escape is cut short when he crashes into his own guard, instantly trapped in a terrifying illusion created by Yehi staring down a massive, monstrous beast. Liu desperately scrambles for an alarm, but our main character strikes him with a needle finger technique. Liu's head swells up like a balloon and literally explodes, showering his screaming companions in blood. Wearing a chillingly sadistic grin, Yehi tells them to chill out, teasing that he is just playing around with them like little babies. The spared third heir of the Liu family desperately tries to bargain with Yehi. But pay attention here, instead of talking, our main character drives his needle finger straight into his skull. He sarcastically thanks the heir for introducing himself, letting Afei slide in to completely possess his body, leaving the survivors frozen in absolute shock. In control of the young heir's body, Afei gets ordered to turn the survivors into loyal servants. With a newly minted puppet inside the imperial city, Yehi slips away to begin his grand master plan. To make it work, he must deep dive into meditation to spread the infection, since Afei's parasite technique only takes hold of weak-minded fools. Plus, saving Chujo means mastering the dragon's energy, aligning his spiritual power with physical might. He realizes this ultimate evolution is only possible by awakening the causal energy sealed inside his own eyes. So, he summons the 10-headed hyena to instantly trigger this force. His body glows brilliant gold as a ridiculous wave of power surges through him, far exceeding his wildest expectations. 2 months later, Yehi, now known as the Demonic Eye, is busy training Chujo. He demands his disciple show his growth so he can unlock a brand new tier of causal energy for him. Opening his eyes, Chujo releases a massive wave of power. His icy aura manifests into a ferocious beast form, bringing a proud smile to his master's face. To counter, Yehi unleashes his Hellstar technique to shatter his student's frozen domain. But with his enhanced vision, Chujo easily tracks the blinding energy spheres capable of intercepting any incoming attack. The young warrior summons a massive ice dragon, launching a barrage of arrows at the master's glowing ring before lunging forward with razor-sharp claws. But the spheres detonate, freezing Chujo midair as a barrage of heavy blows lands. Still, the master senses something is off. You and I both saw that coming, right? Well, think again. Chujo reveals the dragon was a decoy, striking from behind and completely freezing his master solid. Chujo rushes in to seize his moment, but Yehi already anticipated the move and dodges. Yet, the ice dragon roars forward, swallowing him whole and shattering his frozen body in two. Thinking he won, Chujo is instantly snapped back to reality. It was all a cruel illusion. Yehi warns his friend that he will remain trapped here forever, since he lacks the 10-headed beast's causal power. He explains that only by channeling deep, painful memories can Chujo truly break through his limits and reach his peak. Trapped in the nightmare, Chujo relives his childhood, chained and freezing. He watches his father kneel before the ruthless clan patriarch, who coldly orders him to execute his own wife. His father begs the old patriarch for mercy, but the old man shows none. To him, his son brought absolute shame to the Chu family by fleeing with a commoner and having a bastard child. The mother begs them to spare her son, offering her life instead. Furious, the young Chujo screams at his father to unleash his grandmaster power and save his mother from this execution. As the blade rises, Chujo falls into complete despair. The strike descends, and with her final breath, his mother prays for her boy to grow into a legendary, true warrior. Screaming in pure rage, the boy shatters his heavy chains and awakens his power. Observing closely, the demonic eye smirks as Chujo finally opens his eyes back in the real world. His gaze is entirely different now. Having mastered the eyes of causality, he feels deeply grateful to have seen his beloved mother's face one last time. With unique techniques unlocked in each eye, Yehi explains that only those who carry deep, agonizing pain can awaken this power. He then orders Chujo to test his new moves on him. The boy hesitates, worried he might hurt his master, but Yehi scoffs, saying he could never be defeated so easily. Nodding, Chujo unleashes a truly ridiculous surge of spiritual energy. Though the blast tears apart everything nearby, the master does not flinch, appearing right before him unharmed. Chujo is left completely speechless, but the demonic eye is highly pleased. Satisfied, Yehi demands to see his divine avatar, which is the final key to qualifying him for their organization's secret missions. Chujo worries if this manifestation will blind him, but his master reassures him that his armor will protect his sight. Just then, Afe appears, telling him to trust the process, and Chujo lets the slime merge. As they merge, even Afe reels from the sheer impact of the boy's cosmic sight. And that's where we leave it, witnessing his transformation into the legendary Lord Erlang of the Qingguen divinity.